Chapter 1125. Bang. This punch landed heavily on Taihee's chest. Taihee didn't feel anything at all. Felt like a light touch. However, the shockwave swept through the area. Everyone could not help but raise their heads and cover their eyes. This black-clothed man was so strong. Pooh. Taihee forced himself to spit out a mouthful of blood, and after that he was sent flying. Xanba was stupefied. I actually sent Deity Institution's Dean Supreme Taihee flying with a single punch and even vomited blood. Awesome. Taihee held onto his chest. Just now, I forcefully held onto a mouthful of blood, and it seems like there's a problem with me holding back my blood. F***K. If this golden leaf was not pure gold, then he would have suffered a great loss. As expected of the mighty tiger fist, it is indeed domineering. Taihee struggled to stand up. However, Shinba exclaimed, after being hit by my mighty tiger fist, other than Supremes, no one else can stand up. What the F***ck? Enough. Do you think I'm shameless? Although he was wearing a mask. But he still felt his face rubbing against the ground. Can't you give me some face? Forget it. Standing far away, Mu Hong was finally able to vent out the hatred in his heart. In the afternoon, there were still rumors that I kneeled down to Taihee. You shameless fellow, this old man used a small trick to make you suffer unspeakably. The son-in-law was not bad. He was bold and meticulous. Taihee took 2 deep breaths, calming the battle chi in his body. He was so close to releasing the terrifying aura of a supreme being. This was caused by anger. Do you know why I didn't collapse? Taihee said in a deep voice. Why? Because I also want face. Shinba nodded and lightly said, all right. You're a real man, take another punch from me. Hold on. Taihee hurriedly raised his hand. Are you done yet? Do you think I, as supreme being, am here to play with you? After receiving a punch from you, I'll pretend to fly backward and spit out a mouthful of blood. What's wrong? Are you going to admit your identity? Taihee was also angry. He shouted, who do you think you are? If you have the ability, then punch the shit out of me. Alright. Apart from supreme beings, everyone else will die with this punch of mine. Taihee, what the F***ck? Do you want me to kill myself on the spot? Aren't you forcing me to admit my identity? Then he would be laughed at by everyone. At that time, that old thing, everlasting hatred, would also mock him. Brother. You're exaggerating. How is that possible? Taihee said disdainfully. Why is it impossible? However, these words were not spoken by Shinba. 2 dwarves walked out from the crowd. These 2 dwarves were naturally Yizizi and Kai Yun. The one who spoke was Kai Yun. In this world, apart from the people in the team, there is no one who can withstand a punch from me, the Flag Master. When Xanba heard this voice and saw this height, a face instantly appeared in his mind. This voice could be heard even if it was reduced to ashes. However, as this sound rang out, Tang Wei, who was not far away, said curiously, why does this sound like Kai Yun? It's indeed a bit similar. Wei Chang nodded. LV Liang naturally heard it as well. Master Mage, doesn't this sound like Kai Yun? Death Mage nodded his head. GGG, the royal translator said, sort of. Right at this moment, Yizizi said in a low voice, don't reveal your original voice, we are currently sneaking in secretly. When the time comes, we will be discovered. Kai Yun nodded his head cautiously, then looked at the surrounding crowd. I'm currently sneaking in secretly. I can beat the shit out of you with a punch. Kai Yun lowered his voice by a lot. Xanba hurriedly squeezed into the crowd. This person is not someone I can afford to offend. Seeing that a female dwarf dares to come out and shout at me, Taihee felt that she is simply tired of living. Just how much courage does she need to dare to come out and say a word? Shorty, you can beat the shit out of me with a punch? Go back and let your parents hug you. Taihee laughed loudly. He finally felt a bit better in his heart. That man just now disappeared. I finally let out a sigh of relief. I feel that the man is intentionally targeting me. Kai Yun, who was under the black mask, tensed up. This trash actually called me a shorty. What I hate the most in my entire life is people calling me a shorty. What Yizizi, who was at the side, hated the most was people calling her a flat-chest girl. Kai Yun slowly walked forward and stopped 10 feet away from Taihee. I will beat the shit out of you with a punch later. Kai Yun said coldly. You have already successfully attracted my attention. Taihee had just suffered grievance and right now he was very arrogant. Thinking to himself, in any case, other people don't know that I am Taihee. Shorty, do you want me to teach you how to fight? Taihee asked with a smile of disdain. However, Kai Yun slightly raised his right fist back. The name of this punch of mine is called, Let You Die Punch. Under this punch, no one will be able to withstand it. Taihe burst into laughter in his heart. This is even more amusing than the one just now. After all, this mighty tiger fist sounds very domineering, but this let-you-die punch is completely comical. Shorty little sister, even if you want to beat me up, you have to get closer to me. You are standing so far away, how is it possible for you to hit me? Taihe continued to tease Kai Yun, completely unaware that he had already angered a little overlord. Kai Yun's personality was very good, and he rarely got angry. Now that he got angry, this Taihe could do it too. I can beat the shit out of you with the wind generated from my fist. Kai Yun said faintly. Wind generated from my fist? Taihe felt as if he had heard the funniest thing in the world. Using wind generated from my fist to kill an overlord. Haha. Alright, then let me see how powerful your wind generated from your fist is. You will be very satisfied. Kai Yun shouted out with a cold intent, and his right fist directly punched out. In everyone's eyes, this was just an ordinary punch. There wasn't even a bit of chi fluctuation. This girl is just here to be a joke. A cool breeze floated onto Taihe's body. Taihe looked towards Kai Yun, then suddenly laughed and said, Wow, this wind generated from my fist is so powerful, you should just go and hammer your chest with that little fist of yours. However, right after he finished speaking, Taihe felt a pain in his chest, and his eyes immediately became bloodshot. What is going on? Why does my chest feel so uncomfortable? My four limbs became incomparably stiff. The chi within my body was actually running around crazily, and it was completely out of my control. Taihe used all of his strength to raise his head and look towards Kai Yun, but Kai Yun had already disappeared into the crowd. Gradually, Taihe felt that his entire body was bone-piercing cold, as if countless icicles had pierced into his body. The coldness that entered his body caused Taihe to be in so much pain that he wished he was dead. After a long time, everyone felt that the black-clothed man had stopped moving. Everyone was very puzzled, and one of them mustered up his courage and walked forward to take a look, and discovered that the black-clothed man seemed to have stopped moving. That black-clothed man stretched out his hand and prepared to take off his mask, but just when he touched the mask, his entire body actually turned into black particles and disappeared. However, at this moment, the clouds in the sky had already split into two. Looking at this scene, everyone went into a daze for a moment, and it was unknown who suddenly said, Tisuke, he actually ran away. End of this chapter. Chapter 11:26. Trash, he actually used this kind of illusion to escape. He only knows how to trick little girls. That's right. But this illusion is pretty good. We didn't even notice it. Yeah, he's pretty powerful, but it's a pity that he's a coward. If he's really the dean, that would be hilarious. Taihe's primordial spirit didn't even have the chance to escape. In the crowd, XN Ba swallowed his saliva. That girl. He had beaten a supreme being to the ground with a single punch. Oh my god. Just how strong would she have to be? Why was this world even more terrifying than before? Suddenly he wanted to go home. This world was too dangerous. XN Ba, calm your heart, don't panic. The old grandpa shouted from within XN Ba's body. XN Ba also wanted to stay calm, but when he saw Kai Yun instantly kill a supreme being with a single punch, how could he possibly endure it? Moreover, that punch just now didn't have any clues at all. This meant one thing. The girl had controlled her strength to the peak. It was too terrifying. It was too infuriating. Why did the heavens create such a terrifying monster? XN Ba believed that Taihe was really dead. Mu Hong, on the other hand, believed that Taihe had escaped with his body movement. After all, he had already lost face and there was no need for him to stay. My son-in-law did well this time. I'll give him a good compliment when I get back. The people present all felt that it was pointless. That coward made an illusion and then ran. He was really trashed to death. Taihe's soul screamed. I didn't run. I was instantly killed. All of you trash will be instantly killed. You have a pervert here, the super pervert kind. All of you have to come down and accompany me. Ah. That demon. There was no doubt about Kai Yun's strength. For him to be able to compare with Yi Zizi in terms of strength, his title of Flagmaster was not just for show. Unfortunately, no one was shouting 666 right now, and Kai Yun didn't even know who he had killed. If he had known that it was Taihe, he definitely wouldn't have killed him. That was because Taihe was the children's mission. He was also one of their enemies from back then. Killing him just like that was simply too merciful. Everlasting Hatred, who was standing at the back, only heard the voices. He didn't see the duel at all. There were too many people. He wished he could kill his way out. It's time for the auction of pure gold. Just as everyone was getting bored, a black-clothed man knocked on the gong and shouted. This attracted everyone's attention. Auctioning pure gold? Was he serious? How could a treasure like pure gold be auctioned off? Wasn't that a little too frivolous and careless? Qi Shuwen still did not move. This show would not end so easily. And it felt like someone had set this up. Qi Shuwen felt that it was better for him to leave first and not continue to get involved in these muddy waters. If he got involved again, he might not be able to climb back up. Something as rare as pure gold couldn't possibly appear just like that. Qi Shuwen left without another word. Following Qi Shuwen's departure, many people chose to leave as well. Something was wrong. The people who were slightly weaker all chose to leave. It was fine to just enjoy the gathering for a while, but for the auction of the pure gold, there would be people who would die if they were to watch the show. In just a short while, half of the people actually left. The remaining half of the people were not afraid of death. Although it was only half of them, they still crowded the small workshop so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. He saw a man in black standing on the roof of a small workshop. At this time, the moonlight was gradually sprinkling down, illuminating the roof. At this moment, everyone felt that this person was extremely mysterious. Just who is it? Hey, the one above, you said that you are auctioning pure gold. Please take out the pure gold and let us have a look. The people below shouted. Although he said that it was pure gold, he should at least take out the real thing and let everyone have a look at it. The man in black laughed lightly, appearing to be very profound. Pure gold. It is the best material for weapons in the world. It can even be used to forge rare ancient godly weapons. It is extremely rare. Who would bring such a treasure with them? Use your brains and think about it properly. Tisk. All of the men in black couldn't help but let out a tisk sound. It is actually a trash that is talking nonsense. He doesn't know anything and is still blindly making a comparison here. However, the man in black actually took out an item from his crotch. Of course I wouldn't bring all of the pure gold, I only brought this little bit. The man opened up his palm, and the dark night could be seen instantly becoming bright, and golden rays could be seen shining brightly. Wei Chang's expression froze. The aura that this material is emitting out, LV Liang's gaze sunk. This indeed looks like it. Yi Zizi and Kai Yun looked at the pure gold with curious expressions. They were also interested in this pure gold. Chang Hen's gaze revealed out crazed greed. So this is pure gold. Just based on this aura, I feel that it is going to be invincible. A weapon that is forged out of this pure gold would definitely be invincible. If one were to use pure gold to forge ancient godly weapons, that would be a complete waste. Pure gold is a material that is so rare that it makes one's hair stand on end. This kind of material is precisely used to forge legendary weapons. Hey, how did you cut the pure gold into such a small piece? Within the crowd, someone suddenly asked. The man in black said faintly, what pure gold is most afraid of is deviant flames. After finished speaking, the man in black opened up his left hand, and a red flame could be seen burning on his palm. Upon seeing the appearance of the deviant flame, everyone's face was filled with astonishment. This person is actually an overlord. Chang Hen was a bit stupefied. This person's deviant flame is so similar to my own, both of them are red in color. If I don't look carefully, I won't be able to tell the difference at all. However, where did this overlord come from? I have never heard of him before. Could it be that he is an expert from somewhere? From the looks of it, he should be an expert from somewhere. Following the rise of the temperature of the air, everyone knew that this is really a deviant flame. May I dare to ask if you are Meridian Break Sex Overlord Chang Hen? I heard that Overlord Chang Hen's deviant flame is also of the same color. One of the men in black asked curiously. Chang Hen slightly wrinkled his brows. Could it be? Today I am here to auction the pure gold, don't say anything else. The man in black didn't admit nor deny, causing a lot of people to be puzzled. However, everyone somewhat believed that this man was indeed Chang Hen. In the entire Kangluo continent, only Chang Hen has a red deviant flame. Then what are you going to auction it with? Someone asked curiously. The man in black smiled and said, use your most precious thing to auction it. Tell me if I am willing, I will exchange it with you all. Everyone immediately burst into an uproar. The most precious thing, even if it is the most precious thing, it still shouldn't be exchanged for. After all, this is pure gold. Your Excellency, my most precious thing is this ancient godly item. I wonder if I can exchange it for it? A man in black could be seen taking out a black iron mountain. Everyone immediately let out mockery. How is it possible for you to exchange for pure gold with an ancient godly item? You are truly thinking too much. The man in black said faintly, everyone please don't joke around, treat this auction seriously. End of this chapter. Chapter 11:27. Then how about I use the ancient artifact in my hand? Another black-clothed man could be seen shouting out. The jade bracelet on his wrist was emitting out a strange aura. With a single look, one could tell that it was a good item. Everyone went into an uproar. To actually take out an ancient artifact to exchange for it, what a huge sum of money. The black-clothed man took a look and shook his head. Everyone went into an uproar once again. If you don't even want an ancient artifact, what else do you want? Your Excellency, why don't you give us an example? The black-clothed man said faintly, I already said, it is your most precious thing. Everyone completely didn't understand what the black-clothed man meant. Just what is the most important thing? Time waits for no man. I have something that I can exchange with you. At this moment LV Liang suddenly shouted out. However, she changed her voice. After all, this was a secret infiltration, and they mustn't be discovered. All of the black-clothed men looked at LV Liang. They were very curious as to what this black-clothed man was going to use to exchange for the ancient artifact. Right now, even an ancient artifact is not enough. Could it be that there is something better? Eternal hatred was thinking in his heart. Could it be that I have to use deviant fire to exchange for it? After all, deviant fire is much stronger than an ancient artifact. The black-clothed man looked towards LV Liang and asked faintly, what are you going to use to exchange for it? LV Liang said coldly, I'll use your life to exchange for it. LV Liang had just discussed with Death Mage. This thing is what his honor wants, no matter what methods we have to use, we have to obtain it. Even if we have to snatch it, we have to do it. When all of the black-clothed men heard LV Liang's words, they all became incomparably quiet. This black-clothed man sure has guts, to actually dare to say such words. Didn't you notice that this black-clothed man is an overlord? Furthermore, he even has deviant fire in his hands, and he would be able to let you experience the thrill of being burned by fire in a matter of minutes. Yi Zizi and Kai Yun felt that this black-clothed man was very cool, to actually say such pretentious words. This is a bit interesting. Wei Chang and Tang Wei were very cautious. After all, this pure gold is something that we have to obtain. And even more so, we can't let others obtain it. Snatching it was the best way. However, Wei Chang chose to bide his time and see just how strong that black-clothed man was. It wasn't that eternal hatred didn't think about snatching it, but because of his identity. However, when he thought about how he was wearing black clothes and since no one knew who he was, so what? It seemed that he would have to fight for the pure gold. He would have to see how strong they were before deciding what to do. Ah, you want to take my life? Since I dare to stand here, I have a fearless heart. No matter what crazy ideas you have, I will take them on. The black-clothed man was very confident in himself. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said such words. With a calm expression on her face, LV Liang took a glance at Death Mage and suddenly attacked. The blue stone under his feet instantly crumbled. Everyone was shocked. This black-clothed man seemed to be very strong. LV Liang's speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, she had arrived in front of the black-clothed man. Her speed was breathtaking. This black-clothed man was at least a spiritual venerable or higher. It was no wonder that he dared to say such words. But he was a supreme venerable, and even a spiritual venerable wouldn't be able to do anything to him. The black-clothed men, whose power was relatively low, thought LV Liang was a spiritual venerable. But the eternal hatred certainly knew such a person. Although he looked like a spiritual venerable with such speed control, he was actually a supreme venerable. He didn't expect that there would be so many powerful characters in this group of black-robed men. From the looks of it, those hidden experts are here for the pure gold. Wei Chang, who was within the group of black-robed men, seemed to have smelled a familiar smell. In that instant just now, that familiar smell seems to be, Uncle Wei, we have to make a move as well, we definitely have to get our hands on the pure gold. Tang Wei said cautiously. Look at how everyone else is already making a move to snatch the pure gold, we cannot fall behind. Wei Chang suddenly laughed lightly, no need. What? Could it be that we are not going to snatch the pure gold? Tang Wei asked puzzledly. It took us a long time to find any news about the pure gold. If we are able to find it, his honor would definitely be very happy. Because this black-clothed man should be LV Liang. Wei Chang said indifferently. LV Liang and Yi Hong were both personally taught by Wei Chang, and the two of them would emit out their own aura. Just a moment ago, when LV Liang was circulating his energy, Wei Chang had already sensed it. I didn't expect that LV Liang would also be here. Thinking about it, it is normal if there is news about the pure gold, LV Liang will definitely come. Seems like Death Mage should be here as well. After all, this person is actually one of us. Wei Chang looked at LV Liang. This little brother of mine has already grown up, it should be time for me to help his honor. Is it LV Liang? Tang Wei said in a low voice. Clearly she didn't expect this to happen. After all, everyone had split up to search for the pure gold. Let's just watch, it won't be too late to make a move if there is an accident. Wei Chang was still rather vigilant. Although he wasn't very afraid in case someone were to launch a sneak attack on him, the pure gold was too important, they mustn't fail to obtain it. Tang Wei nodded her head. Uncle Wei is becoming more and more thorough in his considerations. Zizi, when are we going to make a move? Kai Yun's hands were already itching. This person seems to be very powerful. Zizi tapped on the tip of her toes, then placed both of her hands behind her head and yawned. Let's see how the situation goes first. After all, the important characters are always the finale. That's right, there might even be experts among them. Kai Yun said happily. On top of the roof, LV Liang was currently facing off against the black-clothed man. LV Liang appeared to be very calm and not impatient. Because LV Liang was very confident, Uncle Wei had bestowed upon him power, and during these few years he naturally didn't stagnate at all. He would train every single day, and on top of his original foundation, there were still some improvements. For example, this black-clothed man in front of him, he should be able to defeat him. It seems like you don't want to follow the rules. The black-clothed man said coldly. LV Liang stretched out his right hand. Experts don't need to follow the rules. Following LV Liang's words, the black-clothed men below began discussing spiritedly. Wow, this person sure knows how to act cool. That's right, he actually spoke out his inner thoughts. Those who like to act cool won't live for long, and sooner or later, they will die on the path of acting cool. Upon hearing LV Liang's words, the black-clothed man suddenly laughed out loudly. You? Interesting. LV Liang didn't want to speak too much nonsense and said gravely, hand over the gold and you can leave. If you don't follow my rules, why should I hand it over to you? The black-clothed man didn't seem to be afraid at all, and when he spoke, his tone carried along a natural confidence. From the looks of it, I can only use your life to exchange for it. I'm afraid that you will be disappointed in my life, you might not be able to obtain it. It had already been a very long time since LV Liang met such an arrogant person. LV Liang decided to properly teach this person a lesson and let him know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. As his honor's subordinate, I definitely can't lose his honor's face. For an enemy like this, a single punch is enough. Ah! LV Liang shouted out lightly and his duki instantly burst out. Chapter 11:28. A terrifying cyclone spread across the scene. Although the expressions of the black-clothed people could not be seen, they were sure that they were definitely very shocked. This person is so strong. Just this aura alone, he is definitely an overlord. Zizi was very familiar with Wei Chang. The aura that LV Liang released had a strong smell, and this smell was Wei Chang's. But Wei Chang's was purer. So Zizi dared to conclude that this person was either LV Liang or Yi Hong. So it was one of us. That's not right, weren't they in the palace? Why did they come to this city of villains? And to snatch the gold? Did they come to complete the mission or to play? Zizi was very curious. Wow, this person is really powerful, I want to fight with him. Kai Yun rubbed his palms together. From the aura he could feel that this person was very powerful. However, Kai Yun was not very familiar with Wei Chang, so he did not feel this unique aura. Zizi said helplessly, then you might be disappointed. Oh what? I can't fight even like this? Kai Yun pouted. I can't fight here, I can't fight there, when can I fight? Can I still live? Why is it so hard to be a human? Because he is one of us. Zizi said indifferently. One of us? How do you know he is one of us? Kai Yun felt that Zizi was lying to him. After lying to him he could go and fight. This kind of trick has been used before but it is useless now. I Kai Yun have been tricked once and I won't be tricked a second time. This person is either Yi Hong or LV Liang. I can feel this aura. Zizi said softly. If it was a little smaller she might not be sure but with this kind of explosion she could definitely feel it. Kai Yun was very helpless and said disappointedly, so it's the two of them, could it be? I'm just curious, what are they doing here? And they took the initiative to snatch the gold. It should be his honor's order. Kai Yun estimated. Zizi felt the same. Suddenly Kai Yun said softly, then can we pretend that we don't know? You are thinking of? Zizi's eyes lit up. That's right. My bones are getting rusty from all this walking. It's good to loosen them up a bit. That makes sense. Then we'll pretend we don't know and fight. Yizizi said craftily. It had been a long time since she had fought. She didn't dare to cause a ruckus in the imperial palace, but this was outside. It wasn't her territory anyway, so she wouldn't feel sad. Haha, it's going to be fun, Kai Yun said excitedly. Right now, LV Liang was just like a deity that had descended to the mortal world. A black stream of light was emitting out from LV Liang's body, and the black stream of light was revolving around LV Liang's body, just like the special effect that appeared when leveling up equipment. He is indeed very strong. No wonder he dares to say such words. The black-clothed man could sense LV Liang's strength, but even so, he didn't seem afraid. Even the tone of his voice didn't change. However, such an expression fell into the eyes of Yizi, Wei Chang and the others. After all, this kind of thing had happened before. Only when one was beaten up would one know how powerful it was. LV Liang was a little angry. This man's attitude made her very unhappy. Even if he wanted to act cool, he should know when to stop, but he still put on a calm look. Stop pretending. I know that you are scared now. LV Liang said gravely. Hand over the gold and I'll spare your life. The black-clothed man went into a daze for a moment, then held onto his forehead and burst into laughter. Why are you so funny? Why should I be scared by you? Is it because of your strength? Or is it because of your courage that doesn't care about your life? You. LV Liang was completely angered. This person actually dared to mock me, that is equivalent to mocking the entire team. LV Liang's expression sunk as he shouted out lightly, I'll let you experience it then. What is called terrifying? Pegasus Meteor Fist. LV Liang's right fist exploded out with a dazzling light, directly lighting up the night sky. A terrifying aura reverberated between heaven and earth, and all the clouds in the night sky instantly dispersed. It was as if there was only LV Liang's fist in the entire world. Looking at LV Liang's appearance, Wei Chang said slowly with a gratified gaze, I didn't expect that LV Liang had grown up. That's right, back then the two brothers brought little his honor to the bar. At that time they were still two ignorant non-mainstream people. Tang Wei seemed to have sunk into her memories. In actuality, the happiest time was still that small bar. Being able to go to and from work together with Uncle Wei, being able to eat barbecue at night, and his honor would also host a gathering from time to time. Everyone would brag and ridicule each other. It was truly quite interesting. Perhaps it was because she was a woman. Tang Wei was very touched. However, Wei Chang didn't feel the same way. In actuality, it was the same everywhere as long as there was his honor. This green and red brothers are rather formidable. Looking at LV Liang's fist, Kai Yun couldn't help but praise. Yizizi said with a smile, the two of them are stronger than their strength. I heard that Yi Hong is afraid of his wife. More than afraid, he is simply like a mouse seeing a cat. Yizizi clicked her tongue. In the entire team, the one who was the most afraid of his wife was Yi Hong. Then between the two brothers, who is stronger? Kai Yun asked curiously. After all, they were still not familiar with each other. LV Liang should be slightly stronger. Yi Zizi gave an objective evaluation. If LV Liang were to hear it, he would definitely be very happy. After all, Yi Zizi was his honor's direct subordinate. Kai Yun decided to fight with LV Liang. Chang Hen, who was within the crowd, turned pale with fright. This black-robed man's strength is probably above mine. Just based on this fist alone, I am able to pinch someone. Just how many formidable figures did this red gold bring over? Seems like the water in the south is very deep. Perhaps I should come out and walk around and pay a visit to those hidden figures. LV Liang could feel that his strength was rising infinitely. It has been a long time since I went all out like this. This sort of feeling of being out of control is really too good. LV Liang could be seen slowly punching out. Right now, the air seemed to have been compressed, and intense explosion sounds could be heard from the surroundings. Those who were weak instantly bled from all 7 of their orifices, but they didn't die. Those who were strong could be seen bleeding from their ears. This fist is truly too terrifying. To think that even the air was compressed to the point of exploding. Die. LV Liang shouted out angrily, his gaze was merciless. However, the corner of the black-robed man's eyes slightly rose, and just like that, he directly stretched out his palm, and his palm faced towards LV Liang's fist. Furthermore, there wasn't any aura fluctuation, and there was only black clothes that were frantically fluttering. A slight sound suddenly rang out. The sound was just like someone farting. It wasn't the kind of loud fart but rather the kind of very low fart. Everyone looked at the eaves blankly. That fist was so ferocious. Why did such a result appear? Chapter 11:29. Logically speaking, this punch should have been able to blast the black-clothed man into dregs. Why did this black-clothed man block it with just a raise of his hand? Furthermore, there wasn't any chaotic flow of aura. What was going on? Everyone was dumbfounded at this moment. Even Wei Chang, Yi Zizi and Death Mage were stupefied. Why was it like this? Why didn't LV Liang's punch cause any harm to him? In fact, all the power was absorbed in an instant. Who was this black-clothed man? LV Liang was now very shocked. Her confident punch was actually blocked just like that. Furthermore, he was using his palm. Furthermore, the other party had not even released his Do Chi. How was this possible? How did he do it? You have the capital to be arrogant, but you shouldn't be arrogant in front of me. The black-robed man said indifferently, and his palm suddenly shone with boundless light. This aura was the same as the Pegasus meteor fist just now, but it was even more majestic. The man in black pushed LV Liang's fist lightly. Everything happened in an instant, leaving no time for anyone to react. LV Liang's eyes were filled with golden light. This man had actually absorbed the punch just now and turned it into his own strength to attack. This was an attack he had never seen before because he didn't notice it at all. In an instant, LV Liang felt his right arm heat up. Wei Chang immediately disappeared from where he was, but he was still half a beat too late. A beam of golden light shot out from the black-clothed man's palm, drowning LV Liang's right arm and shooting straight into the sky. In this dark night, this long streak of golden light was as dazzling as a meteor. However, the pressure it emitted was terrifying. Fear spread in everyone's hearts. At this moment, those who could regain their senses all turned around and ran. This black-clothed man was too terrifying. Lonesome Hatred, who had come to his senses, chose to retreat immediately. Pure gold was indeed very important, but if he didn't have the life to enjoy it, it was unnecessary. Life was the most important thing. Wei Chang stopped in the air and looked at his little brother. At this moment, his right arm and right shoulder had completely disappeared. It formed a semicircle. If the attack had been on the head. If that was the case, then LV Lu would be insta-killed on the spot, and even Wei Chang would not be able to save her. LV Liang could not feel the pain at all. The real pain was on her face. He had actually been insta-killed by someone else. This is simply throwing away his honor's face. Thinking of what she had just said, LV Liang felt ashamed. In the entire team there was no record of failure. However, just now, he had been defeated. Moreover, he had no power to fight back. This palm didn't land on his arm but on his face. How am I going to face his honor when I return? How was he supposed to meet every member of the team? He had thrown all their faces away. At this moment, LV Liang's face was deathly pale. She was so ashamed that she wanted to die. The black-clothed man looked at LV Liang and asked curiously, "Are you sure you want to trade my life for pure gold?" LV Liang spat out a mouthful of blood. This was a blatant mockery. LV Liang's current mood was like dead ashes. Looking at her missing right shoulder, LV Liang clenched her left hand tightly. Suddenly he slapped his own forehead. This gave Wei Chang a fright and he shouted angrily, "What are you doing?" Wei Chang's shout shook the heavens and the earth. Even the black-clothed man revealed a surprised expression. LV Shu's left hand was grabbed tightly by Wei Chang. At this moment, Yi Zizi and Kai Yun had also appeared. Of course, Death Mage and Tang Wei were also present. Everyone looked at LV Liang. LV Liang could immediately tell that this person was Uncle Wei. Uncle Wei was actually here just now as well. LV Liang's stiff face became strange and a bit distorted. Men shed blood but not tears. However, seeing that Uncle Wei was standing in front of him, LV Liang's tears flowed out. This is a type of guilt. I lost face for the entire team. What face do I have left to continue living in this world? What face do I have left to stand in front of his honor? I can only die to thank his honor and Uncle Wei for taking care of me. I'm sorry I've brought shame to everyone. LV Liang suddenly felt that his entire body was powerless. Death Mage immediately went to the side and supported LV Liang. Wei Chang's expression was very bad right now. My little brother was actually beaten to the point that he wanted to commit suicide. This is a great humiliation. After being in the team for so many years, when has something like this ever happened? Today can be considered as the beginning. Wei Chang turned his head and looked towards the black-clothed man. His gaze was ice cold. For something like this to happen, I have to bear the main responsibility. Tang Wei looked at Wei Chang and felt that the current Wei Chang was very scary, just like a nuclear bomb that was about to explode. Xiaolu, you were too careless. If you do this, his honor will be angry. Yi Zizi said gravely. Just by hearing the voice, Yi Zizi knew that it was LV Liang. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to everyone. LV Liang was very ashamed. He really wanted to slap himself to death, at least he would feel a bit better in his heart. With an ice-cold tone, Wei Chang said, bring LV Liang back first. Yi Zizi originally wanted to fight against the black-clothed man, but when she felt that Wei Chang was acting strangely, she decided to give the opportunity to Wei Chang. After all, LV Liang was Wei Chang's little brother. Taking revenge for his little brother was also a normal thing. However, today one of LV Liang's arms was actually chopped off. This was not just his own matter, this was a big matter that concerned the entire team, and even his honor. If one person were to be humiliated, the entire team would be humiliated. I'll leave him to you then, don't let him escape. Yi Zizi warned. This black-clothed man must die. There is no other possibility. Before Wei Chang finished speaking, everyone else immediately left. Only Wei Chang and the black-clothed man remained in the sky. Meanwhile, the black-clothed man who was standing in the small workshop was very puzzled. The group of people seemed to know each other just now, and they were even chatting with each other for a bit. If all of them knew each other, why was there only one person left? Why didn't all of them come at me together? There aren't many people who are able to make all of the 7 deadly sins come at me together. The black-clothed man looked at the man in front of him and asked faintly, what do you plan to use to exchange for the gold this time? Your life. Wei Chang said faintly. If the little brother is unable to complete it, then I, the big brother, can only do it. The black-clothed man laughed lightly. This again? My life isn't that easy to take. In my opinion, it is still possible for you to take it. True, you are much stronger than that person just now, but I want to tell you, I am also much stronger than him. What happened just now was just an appetizer. The black-clothed man's tone was dull, but when he said it, it carried a kind of pretentiousness. To still say that what happened just now was just an appetizer, then what is the main course? Let's change to another place to spar. Wei Chang proposed faintly. In the past, Wei Chang didn't care about these things at all, but right now Wei Chang also cared about the casualties of commoners. As you wish. The black-clothed man didn't cower and agreed straightforwardly. Chapter 11:30. The two disappeared into the night sky. All of the black-clothed men felt disappointed. This was going to be an ultimate battle, but they weren't going to watch it. This feeling was like having your masturbation tube cut off, that kind of disappointment and depression. LV Liang was also brought back to the inn by everyone. The Blood Tribe sisters were stunned for a moment. When they saw that their man's shoulder and arm had completely disappeared, their beautiful faces instantly paled. Hubby, what's wrong with you? The sisters burst into tears. Yi Zizi and the others took off their black masks, and Tang Wei let out a deep sigh. The accident that happened tonight is really something that I am unable to digest. LV Liang didn't even have the face to face his wives. They asked him what was wrong. How should he answer? He charged forward with arrogant words, only to be killed by the enemy instead? LV Liang slowly lowered his head, not daring to meet his wife's gaze. He felt that they were so unworthy. Yi Zizi hurriedly contacted Qin Yutong. This matter was not an ordinary matter, and right now Qin Yutong was the person with the highest position among all of them, so it was best to let Qin Yutong make the decision. Very quickly, Qin Yutong received Yi Zizi's sound transmission, and she hurriedly ran over to the tavern at this side. Of course they came together. The whole room was filled with people. Meanwhile, LV Liang was sitting on the ground expressionlessly, and he didn't dare to raise his head. The Blood Race sisters were worriedly waiting at the side. Big brother, what's wrong with you? Yi Hong had also rushed over at this time. Seeing that her big brother's right arm and shoulder were gone, she hurriedly asked. Although it was gone, the wound was automatically healing, but it could not grow a new arm. LV Liang finally raised her head and looked towards Yi Hong. When she saw Yi Hong's concerned gaze, LV Liang was unable to face Yi Hong. Not only was he a sinner, he didn't even set a good example. After taking a look at everyone in the room, LV Liang slowly knelt onto the ground. I am useless. I have brought shame to everyone and even to his honor. Qin Yutong tightly wrinkled her eyebrows. Aren't we going to snatch a piece of pure gold? How did things turn out like this? Why did they come to the evil men's city? What the hell happened? Right now, Qin Yutong was completely confused, and she could only ask Tang Wei who was at the side. Tang Wei told the whole story. It turned out that her brother-in-law needed pure gold, and everyone came out to look for it. On the other hand, LV Shu wanted to snatch the pure gold, but in the end she was killed by someone. Qin Yutong's expression became grave, and she slowly sat on the wooden chair. LV Liang's defeat wasn't just LV Liang's fault. If brother-in-law knew about it, he would definitely be furious. Right now, Wei Chang was fighting with the black-clothed man, and Qin Yutong felt that with Wei Chang's strength, he should be able to easily defeat the black-clothed man. This would be able to slightly wash away the humiliation, but with LV Liang being turned into such a state, Qin Yutong also didn't know how brother-in-law would choose. After all, this had never happened before. When one's underling was beaten to a cripple, one would definitely want to kill the entire family of the other party. In actuality, back then Death Mage was also crippled by his honor. To be more precise, Death Mage's bones were all scattered. Wei Chang still kept this matter a secret. After all, Death Mage was summoned by his honor. However, LV Liang was different. LV Liang was his honor's little brother, and the significance of LV Liang was different. This little brother of mine was acting cool outside, and in the end he got his face slapped instead. If this matter were to spread out, where would his honor put his face? Let's wait for Uncle Wei to come back first, Tang Wei suggested in a low voice. Qin Yutong also felt that Wei Chang was right. We can only wait for Wei Chang to return before making a decision. Yi Hong had never seen her brother so depressed. Even when her brother was cuckolded, he did not look like this. From the looks of it, Big Brother has really suffered a huge blow this time. Right now, Zishan was also standing at the side silently. She wanted to make peace with Yi Hong, but there were a lot of people at the scene, and Zishan seemed to be unable to put down her face. On the contrary, I feel that the black-robed man is very powerful, Yizizi suddenly said while leaning on the side. Kai Yun nodded his head. He is indeed very powerful. To be able to absorb LV Liang's power and transform it into his own power to counterattack, it isn't that there aren't such methods, but to be able to do it to such a degree, it is rather difficult. The two lowly girls who mainly focused on strength started discussing. That black-robed man is probably the most powerful person that has appeared so far. To be able to instantly kill LV Liang, that kind of strength is very terrifying. I suddenly have a new understanding of this Kangluo continent, Brett said faintly. From the looks of it, I haven't completely understood this Kangluo continent in the past. Yizizi's gaze was also filled with excitement. I wonder how many of such powerful people there are. It would be great if there were a dozen of them. And right now, Tang Wei was worried about Uncle Wei. Just now, from what Yizizi said, the black-robed man seems to be very powerful, and Uncle Wei should be able to easily deal with him. On the other side, when the two of them appeared again, they were already on a swampy land. To Wei Chang it was the same no matter where he was, because the result would not be different. Right now, there was only one thing that he had to do, and that was to kill the black-robed man in front of him. Only then would he be able to slightly wash away this bad record. The place you chose is not bad, the black-robed man said faintly. He slowly descended and stepped onto the congealed earth. However, upon closer inspection, he did not step onto the congealed earth at all, and was merely floating. Wei Chang asked faintly, "Who are you?" "Me. I am just a bored wanderer. Wherever there is liveliness I will go there," the black-robed man said lightly as if he was toying with Wei Chang. "Then your final destination will end here," Wei Chang said faintly. "This kind of humiliation can only be washed away with blood. There is no mercy to speak of." The black-robed man laughed lightly. "Why are you guys so confident? Are you so sure that I will die here? Or could it be that you are the same as that fellow just now, speaking without using your brain?" The black-robed man said faintly, fiercely refuting Wei Chang, and even said that Wei Chang spoke without using his brain. It had already been a long time since Wei Chang was insulted like this, and anger suddenly appeared in his heart. He was in a bad mood. "All along, I only bullied others. When has there ever been a reason for me to be bullied by others? I have always spoken with my strength," Wei Chang said gravely, then slowly raised both of his arms. Wei Chang's arms could be seen changing at a speed that was visible to the naked eye, and in a blink of an eye, they changed into two long and thick monsters. Rows of spotlessly white and sharp teeth with mucus could be seen, and when the teeth landed on the ground, green smoke could be seen. The saliva had corrosive properties. The black-robed man slightly turned his head and said unhurriedly, "So, you are not a human. Whether I am a human or not, this is not important. What is important is..." Just when Wei Chang finished speaking, the monster with two arms directly attacked towards the black-robed man. The black-robed man immediately leaped backwards. Boom. A huge crater could be seen on the ground where the black-robed man was standing, and his gaze seemed to be calm, and there was no panic. Over 100 monsters sprung out from the dust that filled the sky, but they were much smaller than those monsters just now. The black-robed man's expression slightly changed. Looking from far away, it looked as if countless snakes were sprayed out, and the snakes attacked towards the figure in the sky, and the snakes even formed a huge net. You indeed have the strength to do so. The black-robed man said faintly, no longer hiding his strength, and went all out. Chapter 1131. The black-clothed man's pupils suddenly congealed, and a cold killing intent was released in the air, causing people to feel a chill in their hearts. The do-chi in the world gathered from all directions, forming a terrifying current, and the black-clothed man's entire body shone with a red light, making him look like a world-destroying demon god. This kind of aura directly caused the sky to change. The deafening sound of thunder rang out, piercing through the world just like the end of the world. Wei Chang's gaze became strange. This person's ability is indeed out of my expectations. Being able to insta-kill LV Liang is indeed not a problem. But, gather. Wei Chang shouted angrily. The hundreds of pythons could be seen gathering once again, and actually fusing together, transforming into a giant python. However, different from other giant pythons, it only had a huge mouth, and those rows of sharp teeth that carried a fishy smell in its mouth. The black-clothed man's strength was completely displayed. Looking at the pythons that were surging towards him, the black-clothed man actually chose to not move. This made Wei Chang a bit puzzled, but he didn't take it to heart. The python's huge mouth closed, and the entire world seemed to have trembled for a bit. With such a bite, I reckon that even the sky would be torn apart. Formidable. The black-clothed man said gravely. Wei Chang wasn't too surprised. This kind of opponent might be the strongest that I have ever seen. Of course, excluding Nan Wuxia from before, this person's strength. I'm afraid that the difference isn't too big. The black-clothed man could be seen doing a split. With both of his legs resisting the python's pressure, he crossed his arms and looked at Wei Chang, appearing to be very relaxed. Wei Chang laughed lowly. You are indeed a bit stronger than what I imagined. Just a bit? Just a bit. However, the black-clothed man's expression froze. He felt that the python's mouth seemed to be, without any time to think, the black-clothed man chose to dodge. Boom. A black light could be seen spurting out from the python's mouth, giving off a very sticky feeling, just like a black menstruation. However, the aura and pressure that it emitted made people feel fear. The battle between the two seemed to have caused the sky to change. The entire sky changed from night to light purple. It gave people a very bad feeling, as if it was foretelling death. The black-clothed man appeared at the side, turned his head and looked at his shoulder, only to see that a piece of the black clothes on his shoulder was missing, and there was even a black flame on his shoulder. He raised his head slightly and looked at Wei Chang. The man in black seemed to be angry. I immediately tore off the cloth on my shoulder. I am very clear that this black object is corrosive. Wei Chang retracted his hands and turned them into human hands. You are the first person that is able to injure me, no, monster. The black-clothed man said lightly, and the evil aura that was emitting from his body was still rising. The swamp began to boil and countless creatures were cooked. The entire sky became even more purple, and thick bolts of lightning pierced through the clouds, creating a strange scene. Wei Chang said indifferently, No, I will kill you later. Don't boast too early. Otherwise you'll end up like that brat. With that, the black-clothed man disappeared into the void. Wei Chang frowned slightly and his figure flashed. Boom boom boom. The ground beneath Wei Chang's feet was smashed by a strange force. It was so deep that the bottom could not be seen. Wei Chang's expression turned grave. When did such a powerful person appear in the Kangluo continent? In the entire team, only 7 deadly sins and Nan Wuxia could compete with such a character. As for the other members, just like LV Liang, they were instantly killed. Just as Wei Chang was pondering, a red deviant flame suddenly burst out from the bottomless pit below him. The diameter of this deviant flame had already reached 100 meters. Just like a flame that was spouted out from the ground, the flame shot towards the sky in a cylindrical shape. To be precise, the flame was preparing to devour Wei Chang. The temperature in the surrounding had already risen to the extreme, and the result of the high temperature was burning. Everything below him was ignited with raging flames, and the purple color of the sky was a perfect match for the purple color. Wei Chang understood how terrifying a deviant flame was. After all, his honor had grasped more than 10 different mysteries, and every single deviant flame had its own unique meaning. And this deviant flame in front of him. Wei Chang placed both of his hands on top of each other. Chaos Candle Spirit. At this moment, Wei Chang's arms rapidly expanded, as if they were being charged with energy. A terrifying pressure was emitted out from Wei Chang's body, and strands of black fog slowly flowed out from Wei Chang's body, forming a black net behind Wei Chang. However, this black net was not very orderly. It was like a kind of cell structure that was connected together, and it was currently devouring the Do Qi in the surroundings. A black essence shot out from Wei Chang's palm. The terrifying energy had already engulfed the surroundings, and the ground was trembling violently. It was as if the ground was unable to withstand such an attack and was about to shatter into pieces. Cracks formed on the ground, and the ravine was so deep that the bottom couldn't be seen, and it had even started to move. At this moment, one red and one black collided fiercely. At the moment of the collision, the air seemed to have quietened down, and there was even a ringing in one's ears. However, this feeling only lasted for an instant. A terrifying pressure instantly erupted in the air, and the shockwave produced by the collision spread out like blades, and the ground was sliced apart like tofu. The ravine was becoming deeper and deeper, and it was starting to move. It was as if the plates were moving. At Wei Chang's level of strength, destroying the world was a piece of cake. Every single attack from Wei Chang was enough to make the entire Kangluo continent unable to withstand it, and right now the continent was already showing signs of splitting apart. The air was burning and the space was collapsing. One could see with the naked eye that cracks had appeared in the air, and it was obvious that the space was already unable to withstand such a collision. This phenomenon appeared in the entire Kangluo continent. The entire southern region could feel the power that was causing the entire world to collapse, and the ground beneath their feet was currently letting out a weak groan. When ordinary people saw this phenomenon, they all knelt down and prayed to the gods for forgiveness. And when those who had strength saw this phenomenon, fear could be seen in their eyes, but also worship could be seen in their eyes. Thinking to themselves, when will I become so powerful? And at the northern region, one could clearly see that the southern sky was suffused with purple light. Right now, Yi Hua was looking towards the south with his hands behind his back, thinking to himself, what is Wei Chang doing? To be so angry, don't make the entire Kangluo continent disappear. After all, this Kangluo continent isn't as simple as I thought it to be. Yi Hua, what is this? Chen Yuqing, who was wearing pajamas, slowly walked out. That enchanting figure of hers was something that Yi Hua was very fond of recently. Yi Hua slightly narrowed his eyes and said faintly, nothing much. After finished speaking, Yi Hua moved towards Chen Yuqing's butt. Yi Hua, Chen Yuqing immediately jumped away. Come here. Yi Hua said gravely. Chen Yuqing pouted her small mouth. It is clearly an ambiguous atmosphere, and you want to make it seem like you are bullying me? Looking at Chen Yuqing, who was walking over with a wronged expression, Yi Hua rubbed onto Chen Yuqing's head. It is time to sleep. Chen Yuqing. Chapter 1132. In an inn in Evil Men City, Yi Zizi and the others looked at the purple light in the sky, feeling this extraordinary might. Does this gluttonous monster want to destroy this place? Yi Zizi said calmly. Wei Chang was truly enraged this time. Yi Hong finally understood Uncle Wei's strength. Compared to Uncle Wei, she was simply a piece of trash. Now Kai Yun had lost his former childishness and had become serious. Because for Wei Chang to treat him like this, the black-clothed man just now probably had a corresponding strength. But for something like this to happen, it was really hard to accept. Kai Yun's thoughts were also Brett's and Moonlight's thoughts. This time they had encountered a tough obstacle. Qing Yutong let out a deep breath. Originally, I only came out to play around, but I actually played around with such a thing. Wei Chang had actually caused such a huge commotion, and the other party's strength. It had been so many years. This is the first time I've seen it. Within a dilapidated temple, Lai Gu and Do Fusher raised their heads and looked towards the horizon. Big brother, what's going on? Do Fusher swallowed his saliva. This aura felt like Uncle Wei. Lai Gu let out a deep sigh. Seems like Wei Chang met with a very powerful person. Do Fusher was confused. Powerful people? With so many experts in the team, was there even a need for Uncle Wei to make a move? The others would be able to handle it. How powerful? Do Fusher asked weakly. Lai Gu looked at Do Fusher and said coldly, I can kill you with a single finger. Seeing the coldness emitted from Lai Gu's gaze, Do Fusher's heart immediately became heavy. Lai Gu's mood recently wasn't very good, and it was all because of this fatty Qing Su. He had wasted all his time here. He really wanted to see what had happened to Wei Chang. At this moment, Qing Su put down the pig trotter in his hand and put his palms together. Revenge breeds revenge. Let's shake hands, we're good friends. After hearing that, Lai Gu immediately clenched his fists. Big brother. Calm down. Calm down. Don't be rash. Don't stop me. I will kill him today. Just a piece of trash who only knows how to eat, drink and poop all day long. Furthermore, he still has that sanctimonious look on his face. I feel disgusted just by looking at him. Lai Gu already couldn't take it anymore. What's the point of keeping this kind of trash in the team? It's shit. Dou Fushi immediately hugged onto Lai Gu's thigh. Big brother, you really have to calm down, you can't kill him. Mother****. This is trash. Qing Su exhaled slowly and said, Benefactor, if you want to kill me, I will not fight back. Let me return to the embrace of Buddha. Look at him. If I don't kill him, the heavens will not tolerate it. Lai Gu's mental state had already been tortured to the extreme by Qing Su. At this moment, his face was flushed red and he was on the verge of going berserk. Fortunately, Fushi was at the side persuading Lai Gu, allowing Lai Gu to regain a trace of clarity. Otherwise, if he really slapped Qing Su to death, he would really return to the embrace of Buddha. God said, if I don't enter hell, who will? Benefactor, do it. Mother****, this is what the Buddha said, you idiot. Qing Su smiled and said, it's the same, it's the same. Mother****. Lai Gu shouted out, then fiercely stomped onto the ground. This dilapidated temple was originally located at the top of the mountain, and when Lai Gu stomped down, cracks instantly appeared on the ground, spreading in all directions. Even the walls of the dilapidated temple began to crack. Big brother, you destroyed the mountain. So be it. I really want to King trample him to death. Lai Gu pointed at Qing Su and cursed. However, when Qing Su looked at the dilapidated temple that was on the verge of collapse, a dazed expression appeared on his face. That plump face of his was trembling, the pig trotter that was in his hand fell onto the ground, and his pair of tiny eyes became strange. Lai Gu did not notice Qing Su's strange expression and shouted out, carry this idiot away, don't get squashed to death. Right after Lai Gu finished speaking, he felt a huge power coming from his back, and his entire body was sent flying. Fushi tightly clenched his fists, and his pair of eyes turned dark purple. His entire person looked just like a puppet. However, right now the sky was already filled with boundless purple light. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. Right now, the red deviant flame was still clashing with Wei Chang's black light. The surrounding ground was completely unable to withstand the pressure and turned into a huge abyss, and the terrifying pressure was even contending with the sky. Thunder! Suddenly, an explosion rang out in the air. This was the voice of the black-robed man. The deviant flame that was spat out actually carried the attribute of lightning. Crackling sounds could be heard as it revolved around the deviant flame. It seemed like it was going to counterattack. Wei Chang slightly furrowed his brows. He was quite shocked by the current situation. This person actually still has the strength to counterattack. This is a bit surprising. Heaven essence. Another explosion rang out and it reverberated throughout the world. The color of the deviant flame actually changed. From red it turned white. Wei Chang's expression instantly became serious. How is this possible? How can the color of a deviant flame change? Even his honor's color never changed. White flames bearing sky, the black-robed man shouted angrily. The entire ground suddenly stopped shaking and everything became calm. However, this calm was the calm before the storm. Boom. In the Sea of Innocence, a seemingly endless chasm appeared, running through the north and south, and surging seawater gushed into the chasm. The sea level of the Sea of Innocence dropped rapidly, and the tremors even caused tsunamis. Even in Water City, there were earthquakes at the bottom of the sea and volcanic eruptions. At this moment, the entire Kangluo continent was suffering from all kinds of natural disasters. Ordinary people couldn't even survive. The black-robed man's strength had already exceeded Wei Chang's expectations. The terrifying white flames and lightning instantly engulfed Wei Chang's body. Straight into the heavens. The entire sky was replaced by white light. It was so dazzling, so terrifying. However, at this moment, in the city of the wicked, a chasm separated the city. This chasm even extended into the distance. The entire city of the wicked was filled with an aura of death and anguished wails. The people living in the coastal areas suffered the most. This time the tsunami was different from the previous one. This time it was a full-scale tsunami. The tsunami was as long as the Sea of Innocence was. This time even the north wasn't spared. The entire Jianghu continent was currently immersed in the fear of death. When the people saw this phenomenon, they could only kneel down and beg for mercy. However, the merciless disaster still struck mercilessly. Compared to the north of the Jianghu continent, the south suffered even more severe damage. If in the past, Nan Nan's face was a handsome face, then right now, that face was filled with countless cracks. The two people who were engrossed in the battle probably didn't expect this kind of outcome. A black figure floated in the air. His face looked slightly tired, but he gave off the impression that he could still fight. Chapter 1133. Oh, not dead yet? The black-clothed man said faintly, but his eyes were filled with surprise. How powerful was Wei Chang? As one of the 7 sins, destroying the world was nothing difficult, and just now he even used the strength of his body to forcefully resist the attack. But the current Wei Chang under this attack revealed his true form. The huge head did not have any facial features, only a terrifying big mouth with a row of fangs that looked eerie and terrifying, as if it could devour everything in the world. Countless tiny tentacles supported the huge head, and at the bottom of the tentacles, there were tiny heads that let out tiny screeches. The black-clothed man was very astonished. From that pair of eyes, it could be seen that this kind of monster. Just what the hell is this? He remembered that before Wei Chang had also revealed his true form, but that was only for fun. But this time was different. He was forced to reveal his true form. There was a difference between the two. For this black-clothed man to be able to force Wei Chang to reveal his true form, this was already a kind of achievement. Even if he died, that was also a symbol of glory. You are actually completely unharmed. The black-clothed man felt that it was inconceivable. This monster was indeed very strong, but under my attack. He actually only revealed his true form. How is this possible? This is illogical. Wei Chang said coldly, to be able to force my true form out, you can already be considered as a character. The big black net behind Wei Chang slowly merged into Wei Chang's body, and waves of surging power were continuously being transferred into Wei Chang's body. Feeling this wave of pure power, Wei Chang's body also gradually became bigger. The current Wei Chang caused the black-clothed man to feel fear. This fear came from the bottom of his heart. When all of the power was absorbed, Wei Chang's body already reached 3,000 meters. Those tiny tentacles were no longer tiny, the heads at the bottom of the tentacles were fiercely biting the ground. If Tang Wei saw Wei Chang like this, she would definitely faint from fright. The handsome Uncle Wei actually had such a terrifying side to him. Just what kind of monster are you? The black-clothed man stabilized his temperament and asked gravely. Wei Chang said indifferently, read more books and you will know. In your next life, remember. Arrogant. In this world you can't win just by being big. The black-clothed man's face sunk and he quickly formed seals with his hands. At the same time that he formed the seals, a surging and terrifying pressure pressed towards Wei Chang. But Wei Chang did not react at all. Demon Slayer Violet Flame. The black-clothed man suddenly put his palms together, emitting an earth-shattering sound. The purple light in the sky slowly descended. This was a god-destroying aura, and the savage pressure once again crushed the ground. Wei Chang's huge body resisted the pressure from the sky. This was also something that the black-clothed man had long prepared. Ever since he knew that Wei Chang was a monster, he had been preparing for this. This was also a precaution. He had originally thought that it was unnecessary. But from the looks of it now, it wasn't unnecessary. Fortunately, he had kept such a card up his sleeve. Purple light gathered, layer upon layer, tens of thousands of illusions, vast like the waves of the sea. There was even a suffocating terror mixed within. Landslides and tsunamis. It was just like the scene of doomsday. Wei Chang's huge body stood between the heavens and earth, not moving at all. What are you laughing at? Wei Chang asked softly. You think you can win? The man in black didn't feel very good. Originally, I wanted to fight with you with my normal body, but from the looks of it now, forget it, I'm not going to pretend anymore. The difference between me and you. Before Wei Chang could finish his sentence, the tentacle below his head suddenly turned upwards. It opened up its huge mouth. At this moment, the purple light wasn't something that could destroy the heavens and earth, it was more like a child that couldn't be defeated. Even if it wanted to run away, it couldn't. All of it was absorbed by Wei Chang. This chi of heaven and earth is indeed excellent. Yi Hua stretched out his two tongues and lightly licked his sharp teeth. He felt that his entire body was filled with strength. The black-clothed man looked at Wei Chang and suddenly laughed out loud. Good. 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 The three good immediately caused a commotion. That straightforward voice made it seem as if he, the black-clothed man, had won the battle. Say it. How do you want to die? Wei Chang asked gravely. It was also the first time that he used it to become so huge. Firstly, the opportunity was hard to come by and I wanted to test it out. Secondly, to intimidate the opponent. After all, LV Liang had lost face and as the big brother I still have to regain face. The black-clothed man didn't choose to run away, he actually tore off his black mask, revealing an extremely ordinary face, but in the middle of his eyebrows, there was a black mark in the shape of a W. To be able to fight with such a strong opponent today. I will also die a worthy death. Happy. Delightful. The black-clothed man hammered his chest and shouted. From the depths of his eyes, one could indeed feel that he was truly happy. Wei Chang looked at the man in front of him with doubt. Very few people would be able to face things so calmly. And he was actually able to do so. How do you want to die? Wei Chang asked coldly. Today this person is definitely going to die. The black-clothed man licked his dry lips. There are many ways to die. Are you able to grant me that kind of way to die? One of Wei Chang's tentacles could be seen slowly flying towards the black-clothed man. In front of the black-clothed man, that creepy head seemed to be incomparably huge, and the mucus on the teeth also made one feel disgusted. The winner is the king, the loser is the bandit. The black-clothed man seemed to have accepted his fate as he slowly closed his eyes. There was basically no sign of struggling at all. In front of such a strong opponent, struggling was useless. Wei Chang naturally wouldn't let the black-clothed man off. Without any hesitation, he swallowed the black-clothed man. However, after swallowing the black-clothed man, Wei Chang heard the black-clothed man's dying words. I'm finally free. This caused Wei Chang to be puzzled. Free. To him, death is a release? Was he begging for death just now? Shouldn't he be begging for death when facing a strong opponent? Wei Chang suddenly thought of something. His expression changed greatly, and that tentacle immediately began wriggling as if it was vomiting. That's right, Wei Chang is going to vomit this person out. However, right at this moment, Wei Chang felt as if his brain was being struck by an electric drill. This kind of pain was something that even Wei Chang was unable to endure, and his enormous body actually collapsed onto the ground, bringing up a huge amount of dust. And on Wei Chang's head, a mark similarly appeared. W. The purple light in the sky had already disappeared, and the darkness enveloped the earth once again as if nothing had happened. Right now, the dilapidated temple had already collapsed, and a part of the mountain had also shattered. Dou Fusher could be seen carrying Qing Su's enormous body, while Qing Su was looking at his dilapidated temple blankly. Qing Su's expression was already extremely sinister. Just a moment ago, Lai Gu was sneak attacked by Dou Fusher, and after smashing through a few mountains, Lai Gu immediately turned back. To Lai Gu, this kind of collision was basically nothing. To be more precise, Dou Fusher's attack was nothing to Lai Gu. Dou Fusher. Lai Gu pointed at Dou Fusher and shouted out. Chapter 1134. Choking with sobs. Novel. However, when Lai Gu saw Dou Fusher's eyes, he suddenly thought of something. In the past, Qing Su had also used this technique to control humans. This could be seen from Dou Fusher's eyes. You. Lai Gu pointed at Qing Su and asked gravely. Lowly human. You actually dare to destroy my sacred ground. Qing Su suddenly looked towards Lai Gu, and his tone was filled with dense killing intent. Lai Gu hurriedly explained, It's me. Lai Gu. Don't you recognize me? Buddha will never forgive you. F*******. Lai Gu cursed in a low voice. Are you crazy? Even if you're sick, can't you cure yourself? Thinking to hear, Lai Gu suddenly sobered up. This Qing Su. He was indeed sick. This guy must have used him as an experiment, and in the end he couldn't come back. This idiot. That must be it. Damn it. Qing Su said coldly. Lai Gu slowly retreated. This Qing Su is a rather special existence in the entire team. No one wanted to fight with Qing Su because he only knew how to use sneak attacks. What was the point of fighting with him? Was there something wrong with him? Qing Su. Your honor. Could it be that you don't even want to listen to his honor's words? Lai Gu shouted out explosively, hoping to make Qing Su calm down. His honor, my ass, go and die. Qing Su didn't recognize anyone at all. Lai Gu hated this kind of situation the most. Because this Qing Su only knows how to shout and doesn't know how to make a move. It seems like he can shout someone to death. If it was someone else, Lai Gu might not believe it. However, this was Qing Su. Therefore, Lai Gu instantly disappeared from his original spot and ran away. However, Qing Su didn't chase after Qing Su. Instead, he looked at his broken-down temple and went into a daze. Also, Do Fushi, who was being ridden, was also the same. Lai Gu naturally ran back to Voidless Empire. I must definitely report this matter to his honor. That idiot Qing Su had played himself into a corner. In the past he often played like this. This time he would definitely play bigger. With Qing Su's strength, no one would be able to get close to him. Lai Gu hurriedly ran towards his honor's bedroom. It's extremely urgent. However, Lai Gu, who was in the midst of running, suddenly stopped for a bit, his entire body trembled for a bit and then fell onto the stairs. Lai Gu held onto his chest, feeling very uncomfortable, as if, I'm going to reveal my true form. I must have definitely been poisoned just now. That damn Qing Su, every time I fight with him he would always use this poison. Are you King sick? Lai Gu wanted to use teleportation, but his entire body froze, looking towards his honor's wife's bedroom. I can't transform here. If not, his honor, your honor, save me. Lai Gu shouted out in his heart. Right now, I don't even need to use sound transmission anymore. Just now, I shouldn't have run straight back here. I should have run to another place and see if I am poisoned or not. Lai Gu's hands had already transformed into dragon claws, and the sturdy ground was like tofu being scratched apart. Lai Gu was no longer able to control the aura within his body. A dragon roar resounded throughout the entire Wuxia Empire. Right now, Yihua was currently ravishing Chen Yuqing, who was beneath him, but when he heard that dragon roar, Yihua's expression changed greatly. This was the sound of Lai Gu wailing in grief. Yihua instantly disappeared from Chen Yuqing's stomach. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji naturally sensed it as well. This surging aura actually appeared within the imperial palace. Qingya's body immediately disappeared from the bed. Of course, when Zhu Tian, who was currently doing an experiment, heard Lai Gu's scream, he immediately stopped what he was doing. Yi Jueqian and Gong Yu also sensed it and hurriedly ran over. Right after Yihua appeared, people started appearing beside him one after another. Looking at Lai Gu, who was lying on the ground, the dragon claws on his hands had already appeared. There was only one word in Yihua's mind. It's over. Zhu Tian's head was also starting to feel dizzy. This Lai Gu seems to have been poisoned. Wasn't he at Qing Su's side watching over Lai Gu? Why did he get poisoned? Could it be Qing Su? Lai Gu, what happened to you? Qingya hurriedly walked forward. Yihua shouted out gravely, come back. A green light immediately shot out from Lai Gu's hands. God bless me. It's best if I can suppress it. Donghuang Baiji looked at Lai Gu, who was in pain, and especially that pair of bone claws. Donghuang Baiji tightly wrinkled her brows. Your honor, I can't hold on anymore. After Lai Gu finished his last sentence, his entire body began distorting. A dragon roar once again erupted out from Lai Gu's throat, and his entire body immediately revealed his original form. A gigantic bone dragon appeared in front of everyone's eyes. At this moment, Chen Yuqing rushed over and covered her small mouth. It's you, Donghuang Baiji said coldly. Of course, Donghuang Baiji still remembered what happened back then. A bone dragon and a black mist figure. They joined hands with Ying family to attack Voidless Realm. How many people from Voidless Realm were killed by them? Furthermore, I even got injured by them. I won't forget about it in my entire life. However, today, this bone dragon actually appeared in front of me. What was even more unbelievable was that it was actually Lai Gu. Yi Jueqian and Gong Yu looked at Lai Gu blankly. This is actually an undead dragon. Oh my god, it is actually Big Brother's subordinate. Right now, Gong Yu was truly rejoicing. This is what it means to be strong. Right now, Zhu Tian no longer had any thoughts. The matter has already been exposed, and now, it all depends on how his honor is going to coax his wife. However, this matter is not something that can be solved by coaxing. Back then, that was a real massacre. Both Voidless Realm and Ying family's people died. Back then, your wife loved her people as if they were her own children. Right now, knowing that the man she loved the most sent people to kill her own people just to put on a show. Your honor, this time, you are really dead. Right now, Yihua could already feel it. Although Yihua didn't turn his head around to look at Donghuang Baiji, he could still guess that Donghuang Baiji was looking at him with a questioning gaze. Even Qingya was looking at him with a look of disbelief on her face. Lai Gu, who was flying in the air, slowly landed on the ground. This type of poison is actually a poison that takes the form of a poison, and by itself, it doesn't cause any harm. However, there is no antidote for this poison, which means that the poison will remain the same. Lai Gu lied down and leaned against the wall with a wronged expression. Your Honor, I also didn't know that I would be poisoned. If I knew that I would be poisoned, I definitely wouldn't have come back. Yi Hua was a bit afraid to look at Donghuang Baiji. When his lie was exposed, what was left behind was only pain. However, he had no choice but to face it. Yi Hua took a deep breath, then slowly turned his body around and looked towards Donghuang Baiji. Right now, Donghuang Baiji's complexion had become pale, and her complexion had lost its usual color. However, Donghuang Baiji's hand was mercilessly slapped away by Donghuang Baiji. Don't touch me, Yi Juetian and Gong Yu didn't know that their sister-in-law would become like this, and even Qian Yuqing had a puzzled look on her face. Could it be that it is because of the appearance of the undead? Baiji, listen to my explanation, Yi Hua said hurriedly. However, what he said was also a disguised admission. Baidu search 881 Chinese website yen. No advertisement. Chapter 1135. Donghuang Baiji looked at Yi Hua blankly, and 2 streams of tears flowed down along her cheeks. I don't want to see you. After finished speaking, Donghuang Baiji disappeared from the spot. After hearing that, Yi Hua slowly closed his eyes and lowered his hands. I knew this matter couldn't be covered up. They would find out sooner or later, but it had already been a few years. Furthermore, you are still so angry. Back then, didn't I do it for you all? If not, why would I do all those things? Yi Hua then looked towards Qingya, seemingly saying, Qingya, you are the most sensible one, can you understand me? Yi Hua, you really disappoint me. Qingya said gravely, then disappeared from the spot as well. I knew that Yi Hua would do things by hook or by crook, but I didn't expect that he would even kill his own people. Qian Yuqing, who was at the side, was confused. What was going on? Why did Qingya and Donghuang Baiji become like this? Yi Hua gave Qian Yuqing a meaningful glance. Qian Yuqing understood what Yi Hua meant and disappeared from where she was. Qian Yuqing went to stabilize Qingya and Donghuang Baiji. Your Honor. Zhu Tian greeted respectfully. Yi Hua stretched out his hand and signaled for him to stop talking. Go back and continue your research, Yi Hua said gravely. Recently, unlucky things have been appearing one after another, and they completely did not allow me to be in a good mood at all. Having no other choice, Absolute Heaven could only nod his head and retreat. Big brother, you all can go back and rest, Yi Hua said faintly. Very vexed, not just a normal kind of vexed. Gong Yu tugged on the corner of Yi Juetian's clothes. Your big brother is currently in a very violent mood, so don't provoke him. Of course Yi Juetian knew. Then I'll go back and rest first. If big brother has any instructions, just call me. Yi Hua waved his hand, and Yi Juetian and Gong Yu left. In an instant, only Yi Hua was left at the scene. Looking at Lai Gu, who was shivering at the side, Yi Hua walked over and questioned gravely, What's going on? Your Honor, I have been poisoned by Qing Su. Lai Gu was very apologetic. Just now, it was all my mistake, allowing the 2 madams to know about the scam back then in advance. Qing Su's poison? Isn't he an idiot? Yi Hua was very puzzled. Lai Gu's enormous body moved a bit, and accidentally caused the surrounding wall to collapse. Right now, Lai Gu felt as if he was squatting like a puppy. A bone dragon squatting like this was very comical. Your Honor, I came back in a hurry to report this matter, that's why I forgot that I was poisoned. Start from the beginning and focus on the main points. Lai Gu told Yi Hua about his conjecture in full detail, and after Yi Hua listened to it, he cursed out loudly, Idiot. Because Lai Gu's conjecture wasn't without reason. That idiot always liked to experiment on his own. He didn't know what he was playing with this time, but he had messed himself up. But what was undeniable was that Qing Su's strength had returned, and he was able to control Great Floating World. This was even more troublesome. Your Honor, it is subordinates' dereliction of duty to let your wives know about what happened back then, Lai Gu said apologetically. He truly felt very apologetic. Yi Hua let out a light sigh. Forget about this matter, they will find out about it sooner or later, it's just that it is brought forward. Then Your Honor, let's go and capture Qing Su together. If I don't have the antidote, I will continue to maintain my current appearance. Right now, Lai Gu was already not used to being in his real body. How good is it to be a human? I can have sex with my wife every night. But now that he had become like this, how could he slap? He didn't even have tools. Lai Gu lowered his head and took a look. This tool seems to be here, but the size is not suitable. Yi Hua had no choice. This Qing Su problem still has to be solved. After all, I have already kidnapped Great Floating World. Now that Great Floating World knows how to use poison, it is only a matter of time before Great Floating World's memory recovers. Yi Hua and Lai Gu immediately disappeared from the spot and arrived at the sky above the dilapidated temple. A huge bone dragon was flapping its wings in the sky, while Yi Hua was standing on top of Lai Gu's head and looking down at the entire ground. "Your Honor, he seems to have run away," Lai Gu said angrily. Yi Hua hurriedly searched for Qing Su's aura, and his brows slightly wrinkled. This idiot actually erased his aura. Then I will use Great Floating World's aura. The result is still the same. My two subordinates have run away. "Your Honor, don't speak, I am very annoyed right now," Yi Hua said coldly while holding onto his forehead. "Qing Su was here to save my mother. But now he disappeared. Where am I supposed to find him? I can't find him at all. Bastard. And he even kidnapped Great Floating World. This Qing Su's guts are truly getting bigger and bigger. Your Honor, how about we call Wei Chang back?" Lai Gu suggested. One more person, one more head. Yi Hua felt that Lai Gu's suggestion was not bad. Wei Chang's brain is still useful. Hurry up and contact Wei Chang. However, an unimaginable thing happened immediately. I can't contact him anymore. This caused Yi Hua's gaze to become ice cold. Sense Wei Chang's aura. He disappeared as well. Didn't that fellow fight just now? Could it be that he lost the fight? He was exterminated. How is this possible? I know of Wei Chang's strength, and only I am able to defeat Wei Chang. Who else is able to defeat Wei Chang? With so many unforeseen events happening in a single night, Yi Hua was already extremely annoyed. The whereabouts of 2 of the 7 sins are unknown, and one of them is Wei Chang. And that idiot Qing Su. There is also that idiot Do Floating World. There is also that poison Lai Gu. My secret was discovered by my wife as well. My mother's illness, my little brother's matter. Why did so many troubles appear all of a sudden? I no longer want to use my brain to solve these problems. Seems like sometimes I still have to rely on force to solve problems. Wei Chang disappeared. What? Your Honor, why did Wei Chang disappear? Lai Gu cried out in shock. There is definitely no problem with Wei Chang's loyalty. Could it be that Wei Chang was exterminated during the fight just now? How is this possible? Yi Hua didn't explain much and directly brought Lai Gu to the scene of the incident. The scene of the incident could be said to be a huge empty crater, and the smell of scorched earth pervaded the air. And on the ground there was a huge and abnormal crater. Lai Gu hovered in the air and looked at the imprint. Your Honor, this seems to be Wei Chang's original form. Yes, Wei Chang was actually forced to reveal his original form. Yi Hua said gravely, and he couldn't sense any aura of life in the surroundings at all. Lai Gu was very shocked. This age, there is still someone who is able to force Wei Chang's original form out? This is completely impossible. Who has such great ability? Your Honor, what should we do now? Lai Gu asked worriedly. Yi Hua took a deep breath, then took out a stick of cigarette and placed it in his mouth. Gather everyone. Yi Hua contacted Qing Yutong and even all of his subordinates. The current situation had become very strange. Yi Hua felt that there was someone who was targeting him. I felt it when my mother was poisoned. That idiot emperor has such great ability? No, that's an existence. There is someone else. Very quickly, Qing Yutong and the others received Yi Hua's order and all of them disappeared from the tavern in the Evil Man City. Only Yang Haoyin and Ren Yao were still in the tavern. After all, the 2 of them weren't members of the group and didn't have the qualifications to participate in this kind of meeting. End of this chapter. Chapter 1136. Subordinate pays respect to Your Honor. 10,000 blessings equal to heaven. The subordinates knelt down and shouted out. Qing Yutong stood behind Yi Hua. No matter what, she is still a wife, there is no need for her to salute. Everyone get up. Yi Hua said gravely. Everyone looked at Lai Gu who was at the side and felt very confused. Why did he come out with his real body? Is he trying to show off? Is he trying to show off? Especially Lai Gu's 4 wives, they were all confused. With Lai Gu's current appearance, I can only ride him. Right now, Lai Gu felt extremely awkward. However, everyone discovered that there seemed to be a few people missing. Where did Wei Chang and Do Fushi go? Li Hun looked around in confusion. Where did my little Do Fushi go? Tang Wei was the same as well. Where did Uncle Wei go? Yi Hua took a glance at the surroundings and said gravely, Tonight. A lot of things happened. I want to know why Wei Chang suddenly got into a fight for no reason. Tang Wei, you tell him. Tang Wei had a bad premonition and walked out of the group. Reporting to your honor, tonight's matter is like this. Tang Wei recounted everything that had happened in full detail. Yihua finally understood. So it was because of gold. That black-clothed man is not simple. He was actually able to instantly kill L.V. Liang. But he didn't directly kill L.V. Liang. The feeling he gave off was a bit like a plot. Your honor, subordinate is incompetent. Your honor, please punish me. L.V. Liang immediately knelt down and admitted her mistake. For something like this to happen, it is such a loss of face. I have thrown his honor's face all the way to the Pacific Ocean. Right now, Yihua didn't even have the mood to care about such a matter. There are a few things that I need to say. Seeing that his honor's expression was so bad, everyone didn't dare to say anything. Dou Fushi was kidnapped by Qing Su. He has already disappeared. Yihua said the first thing that he wanted to say. Li Hun, who was in the group, went into a daze and immediately fainted. Zishan, who was at the side, hurriedly held on to Li Hun. Li Hun also heard about Qing Su's matter. That fellow used me as an experiment. If Dou Fushi was kidnapped, I will definitely be used as a guinea pig. I will become a widow. Li Hun felt heartache. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have bullied little Dou Fushi. Little Dou Fushi is so cute and loves me so much. Yihua let out a breath and continued. Lai Gu was inflicted with Qing Su's poison, and for the time being, he is unable to regain his human form. Yi Zizi said vigilantly, Your Honor, since Lai Gu is unable to revert back to his human form, it's best for him not to return back to Lai Gu's human form in case your wife sees him. It's too late. Yihua said faintly. The expressions of Lai Gu's subordinates sunk, and they immediately looked towards Lai Gu. How can you be so careless? Your wife actually saw it. Lai Gu felt very ashamed, and his huge dragon head looked towards the side where there was no one. One more thing. Wei Chang has gone missing. Yihua said coldly. Wei Chang's matter could be said to be a big matter. Right now there is no corpse of Wei Chang. He should not be dead, but he is missing. Everyone took a deep breath. Meanwhile, Tang Wei also immediately fainted. The powerful Uncle Wei actually went missing. Why is it like this? In just one night, 2 of the 7 deadly sins went missing. To the entire team, that was a grievous news. Qing Yutong didn't expect that such a thing would happen, and right now she was completely clueless about what to do. Furthermore, brother-in-law's evil deeds were also discovered by Big Sister. Misfortunes never come alone. Misfortunes never come alone. I now announce. Activate Level 1 alert. Everyone's mission will be cancelled. Go back and discuss how to deal with the situation. Right now, Yihua couldn't care less about the gold and the legendary weapon. Wei Chang and Qing Su must be found. Especially Wei Chang. Just what exactly happened to him? Brother-in-law, this time I came out to find a person. Qing Yutong, who was standing at the side, said lightly. Yihua asked faintly, Who? A guardian. Hearing that, Yihua's brows wrinkled, then said, Bring him back. And that Big Sister and Big Sister Baiji, how are they now? Qing Yutong asked concernedly. Yihua let out a sigh. If Qing Ye and Dong Huang Baiji were as sensible as Qing Yutong and Chen Yuqing, I would be able to relax a bit. Right after he finished thinking, Chen Yuqing's voice rang out in his mind. Yihua, quickly come back. Qing Ye and Baiji are going to run away from home. Yihua, running away from home again? Can't these 2 women change to something else? Why do they keep running away from home every single time? How old are they already? Can't they be a bit less childish and a bit more mature? I am truly convinced. Yihua immediately disappeared into the void. And right now, Qing Yutong's subordinates could only return back to the inn and prepare to think of a way to deal with the unknown evil power. However, Qing Yutong still had to make a trip back to the inn and bring Ren Yao back. After all, brother-in-law needed to know about the news of the guardian. Back at the inn. Big sister, why did you come back by yourself? Where are the other big sisters? Yang Haoyin hurriedly asked. The main thing he wanted to ask was where Yi Zizi went. Where did my red packet go? Right now, Qing Yutong didn't have the mood to talk about anything else. She looked towards Ren Yao and said, Let's go. Ren Yao had no other choice but to obediently listen to Qing Yutong. What about me, big sister, what about me? Yang Haoyin revealed out a fawning smile. At the very least, bring me along with me. Yang Haoyin, big sisters won't be bored. How should I put it? I, Yang Haoyin, am also everyone's happy fruit. Qing Yutong walked in front of Yang Haoyin and patted onto Yang Haoyin's shoulder. Take care of yourself in the future. After all, everything isn't easy. Big sister, don't scare me, we have all walked together? Yang Haoyin squeezed out a smile. Why did they break up just like that? I didn't have any mental preparation at all. Yang Haoyin, I know what you want, but is it really important? Without the help of the system, are you, Yang Haoyin, just a trash? That's not the case, there are a lot of experts in this world, could it be that they have some kind of help? Cultivation depends on the individual. Qing Yutong said gravely. I feel that I have become more mature, to the point that I can even use the tone of my brother-in-law to guide others. This is not good news. I, Qing Yutong, will always be 18 years old. I don't want to become a mature old woman. No. After hearing what Qing Yutong said, Yang Haoyin looked at Qing Yutong blankly. He knew that Qing Yutong and Ren Yao had disappeared from his sight. Yang Haoyin sat on the ground blankly. How did she know that I have the system? Mumbled. Big sister, without the system I am really trash. On the other side, Yihua hurriedly arrived at the bedroom. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji could be seen packing up big and small bags, and while they were packing up, they were crying and even scolding me. With my bad temper, if not for what happened back then, I wouldn't have allowed you two to be so arrogant. That's impossible. What are you all doing? Yihua shouted gravely. He didn't have any attitude of admitting his mistake at all, as if it was Qingya and Donghuang Baiji who did something wrong. Qian Yuqing stood at the side. She seemed to be very hesitant after hearing Baiji's words. End of this chapter. Chapter 1137. I didn't expect that Yihua would actually join hands with another person and kill his wife's people. Afterward, he even descended with a righteous look on his face. Why would Yihua do such a thing? This time, the victim was Donghuang Baiji. When I thought about how Yihua was still pretending to be dead at that time, and how he was definitely laughing at me and Baiji, I fell for his trick, and I was even moved to the point that I was in a complete mess. When she thought of this matter, she felt that she was just like a fool being toyed with by Yihua. Yihua. Back then, when Ying family came to attack my voidless realm, was it your plan? Donghuang Baiji was truly unable to take it anymore as she pointed at Yihua and asked. Yihua knew that he wouldn't be able to hide the truth anymore, thus he said gravely, back then, Ying family wanted to attack voidless realm. I'm only letting Lai Gu and Wei Chang go. I'm going to put on a show for you. Qingya shouted out. So, everything that happened back then was all fake. Yihua is so powerful, how is it possible for him to be beaten to a pulp by that black mist figure? I clearly felt that everything that happened back then was all fake, but it turned out that everything that happened back then was all fake. Everything was all fake, it was all an act. Right now Yihua was also angered as he shouted out angrily, wasn't the reason why I did that for you all? You run away from home so easily, what can I do? Donghuang Baiji suddenly laughed. You are still blaming me and Qingya? Yihua, touch your heart and tell me, how did Qingya and I treat you? When have we ever disobeyed you? Whatever you say, we will listen. We are women. We also need your respect. But you, have you given us any respect? I really didn't expect that you, Yihua, would even want to kill my people. Hearing Donghuang Baiji's words, Yihua felt that seemed to have that kind of meaning. But no matter what, I am still good to you all. I don't want much from you all, I just want you all to be obedient. What's wrong with that? Baiji. That was something that happened a few years ago. I was indeed at fault in this matter, but I also had my own difficulties. Could it be that you are not at fault as well? Yihua shouted out gravely. I, the Supreme Overlord, can take 70% of the blame for that matter, but the two of you should take 30% of the blame as well. If you hadn't run away from home, that wouldn't have happened. You still refuse to admit your mistakes, and after admitting your mistakes you still refuse to change. Yihua, why are you always like this? Qingya said angrily. After so many years you really haven't changed at all. You are still so self-centered, it feels like everyone has to revolve around you, right? Yihua's gaze turned cold and he immediately shouted out angrily, what did I do wrong? This is the decision made by me. It's all for the team. Perhaps it was because he was too agitated, Yihua's anger instantly erupted. Qian Yuqing quickly left to find her mother. Otherwise things would definitely fall apart. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji were not like Qian Yuqing, who had the mindset of an ancient woman, they had the mindset of a modern woman. Yes, you're the boss. We are all your accessories. An item that allowed you to show off your strength. Seeing that Yihua still had the face to throw a tantrum, Donghuang Baiji became even angrier. Donghuang Baiji. Yihua shouted out coldly, then instantly arrived before Donghuang Baiji and raised his palm. Dong Huang Baiji was stupefied and tears flowed down from her eyes. You want to hit me? What did I do wrong? Go ahead and hit me, just beat me to death today. Qingya came back to her senses and immediately pushed Yihua to the side, then hugged onto Dong Huang Baiji and consoled, Yihua, are you still a human? We abandoned our lives in the other world to follow you, and this is how you treat us. Yes, I'm not a human. Alright then. Scram. Get the F***ck out of here. Yihua's anger rose once again. I'm just a skeleton. What's wrong? I shouldn't have been a human back then. Ridiculous to the extreme. Qingya and Dong Huang Baiji went into a daze for a moment, then their expressions became firm. Alright. We will scram. You can forget about seeing the children forever. You dare. I dare you to bring the children around. Yihua's mood during this period of time wasn't very good. Luckily, Chen Yuqing was there to comfort him. However, tonight Yihua was already extremely agitated. His subordinates going missing and all sorts of problems added together had already formed a huge amount of pressure. However, at this time, when the two women came to anger him again, he was completely unable to control his emotions. Qingya's temper also came. What's wrong, Yihua? I will explain it to you today. We are definitely going to bring the children away. If you have the ability, go ahead and kill us right now. Qingya. Dong Huang Baiji. Yihua's expression was already distorted to the extreme. This kind of malevolence was something that Qingya and Dong Huang Baiji had never seen before. His pair of tiger eyes were already flickering with red light. To the current Yihua, losing his rationality was an extremely easy thing to do. Looking at Yihua's expression, Qingya and Dong Huang Baiji felt incomparably heartache. You are clearly the one who did the wrong thing. Not only did you not admit your mistake, you are even twisting words and forcing logic, and right now you even want to kill us. Are you even a man? What's wrong? What's wrong? Why did you start quarreling? At this time, Lu Jing's voice rang out from outside the door, and Chen Yuqing walked in while supporting Lu Jing. Hearing his mother's voice, Yihua's expression eased up a bit, but it was evident that he was still extremely angry. On the way here, Lu Jing also heard what Chen Yuqing said. In summary, her son did something bad in the past and hid it from his daughter-in-law. Now that his daughter-in-law found out about it, she got angry. It was just that simple. When Qingya and Dong Huang Baiji saw that their mother had arrived, they couldn't control themselves anymore and pounced into Lu Jing's embrace and cried bitterly. Your son is bullying others. We are all parents who already have children. It is unavoidable for us to quarrel with each other. However, don't let it get to your head. Make peace the most important thing. Don't you agree, Yihua? Lu Jing asked while looking at her son. Lu Jing didn't have any intention of blaming Yihua. After all, both sides are at fault, which is why such a misunderstanding was created. Yihua remained silent. You want me, the Supreme Overlord, to admit my mistake? Impossible. Mother, I still have something that I need to deal with. Yihua said gravely, then directly walked out of the bedroom. He didn't even bother to coax his mother. Just looking at her makes me feel annoyed. I, the Supreme Overlord, am already in a bad mood, and you still dare to come and make me feel annoyed. Seeing that Yihua actually left, Qingya and Dong Huang Baiji cried even more fiercely. I really want to harden my heart and bring the children back to the bedroom, and no longer care about this overbearing and cold man. If Lu Jing didn't come just now, Qingya and Dong Huang Baiji would have gotten to their heads. After all, when a person gets to their head, they wouldn't care about the consequences. I'm sorry, this son of mine, I am unable to teach him properly. It is all my fault as a mother. Lu Jing was embarrassed to say this in front of Yihua, but now that Yihua had left, she was able to say it. Mother, this has nothing to do with you, it is all Yihua's fault. Not only did he not correct his mistakes, he even refused to listen to his mother. Dong Huang Baiji said while sobbing. Dong Huang Baiji cried, Mother, just now, I really couldn't live on anymore. Yihua was too ruthless, he killed so many of my people. End of this chapter. Chapter 1138. Lu Jing felt quite helpless and looked at Chen Yuqing. Chen Yuqing did not know how to comfort her either. Actually, Yihua has been tortured by me for the past few days, so his mood might not be very good. Don't take what he said to heart, it's all because mother is incompetent. Don't leave, the one who is going to leave is mother, it's mother who has dragged you all down. Lu Jing sighed. They were originally very happy, but it was all because of her that they ended up like this. Qingya and Dong Huang Baiji hurriedly said, Mother, no, you can't leave. Sometimes, mother really wants to find a quiet place to quietly wait for the arrival of death. Mother's greatest wish is to see all of you live a good life. Promise me, okay? Give Yihua a chance, consider it as giving me, his mother, some face. Stay, Yihua needs you all. As expected of a good mother, Lu Jing was able to easily deal with this kind of conflict without any hesitation, causing Qingya and Donghuang Baiji to have nothing to say. How could Qingya and Donghuang Baiji not give him face? Even his mother came to plead for Yihua. It could be considered as giving him a way out of this embarrassing situation. However, this matter was definitely not going to end just like that. Yihua had to apologize for what had happened back then, and he had to apologize properly. Lu Jing heaved a sigh of relief when she saw that her daughter-in-law was stabilized. Her son had to deal with the matters outside. As a mother, she could only deal with the problem of her son's harem. Big sister. At this time, Qing Yutong walked into the bedroom and shouted out. Seeing that her little sister had arrived, Qingya felt wronged and immediately threw herself into Qing Yutong's embrace and cried bitterly. Yutong, your brother-in-law isn't a good person. Qing Yutong didn't have much feelings towards this matter. Back then, weren't the two of you the ones who were making a fuss about running away from home? Brother-in-law was forced into a corner, so I could only think of a way to make you feel touched. However, with the Ing family's meager strength, how could they pose a threat? That was why they had sent someone over. Since it was a show, it was inevitable that there would be casualties. Brother-in-law is a bit extreme, but in the end it was you guys who did it. Brother-in-law is willing to play the male lead, that is also his love for you guys. With a man like brother-in-law, it wouldn't be an exaggeration even if he had 10,000 people in his harem right now, but look at the current situation. Only 3 women. I really feel sorry for my brother-in-law. Who is this woman? And who is this beauty? Qing Yutong hadn't seen Lu Jing and Chen Yuqing, and she had already left the house before this. Now he was also very puzzled. You must be Yutong. Lu Jing looked at Qing Yutong and carefully sized her up. From her outer appearance, Qing Yutong seemed to be a good girl, and her temperament was also not bad, and she seemed to be more mature. If Qing Yutong were to know of Lu Jing's evaluation of Qing Yutong, she would definitely act coquettishly. After all, Qing Yutong will always be 18 in this lifetime. There is no such thing as maturity. You are? Qing Yutong asked puzzledly. To be able to appear in brother-in-law's bedroom in the middle of the night? Could it be? Is brother-in-law's taste so heavy now? Yutong, this is Yihua's mother. Qingya said. Qing Yutong was immediately startled. The thought that I had just now was so scary. Fortunately, I didn't say it out. Mother, I am called Qing Yutong. I am brother-in-law's concubine. Qing Yutong directly walked in front of Lu Jing and tried to curry favor with Lu Jing. Qingya felt that. I have spent so many years in vain, and in the blink of an eye, I went to curry favor with my mother-in-law. Don't you know how bitter your sister is feeling right now? Can't you comfort your sister? Good boy, you look so good. Lu Jing was very happy. My son's eyesight is always so outstanding. Look at this Qing Yutong, she looks rather obedient. Qingya's personality is not bad, and this little sister's personality is not too bad either. This was also the first time that Chen Yuqing saw Qing Yutong. The wives that Yihua found are indeed all super beautiful. Lu Jing took the initiative to introduce Chen Yuqing. Yutong, this is Yuqing, Yihua's latest wife. Lu Jing even knows how to tease now. This made Qingya and Donghuang Baiji, who were heartbroken, to laugh. Mother-in-law is truly a bit mischievous. In actuality, Qingya and Donghuang Baiji just couldn't accept the fact that it happened too suddenly, and that's why they started quarreling. After all, too much time had passed. It has already been a few years, and the incident had already faded. Just now, if Yihua had coaxed them a bit, they wouldn't have quarreled so fiercely and wanted to fight and kill each other. After hearing that, Qing Yutong smiled towards Chen Yuqing. Hello, brother-in-law's new wife. Hello, Yihua's concubine. Chen Yuqing stretched out her hand, and the two women shook hands, indicating that they were coexisting peacefully. They even felt that the two women had a lot in common. From the looks of it, from today onwards, Qingya and Donghuang Baiji will be in one group, while Qing Yutong and Chen Yuqing will be in the other group. Lu Jing smiled helplessly. All right, the two of you, don't be so talkative, know your limits. Mother is right. Qing Yutong and Chen Yuqing said at the same time. After finished speaking, the two of them went into a daze and looked at each other. How did you know that I was going to say this? The two of them said at the same time again. My God. Imitate what I said. Misconception, nonsense, don't be like this. The few of them looked at Qing Yutong and Chen Yuqing and said at the same time. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji forgot to be angry. These two treasures, Qing Yutong and Chen Yuqing, held onto their forehead at the same time. Alright, it's getting late, the two of you should rest early. Lu Jing said gently, then prepared to return to her bedroom to rest. If the mother-in-law wanted to go back as the daughter-in-law, no matter what, I have to send her off. The four daughters-in-law escorted the mother-in-law to her bedroom. Within the palace hall, Yi Hua sat on the throne, and below him stood Yi Zizi, Zhu Tian, Brett, and Ren Yao. Right now, Yi Hua didn't have the mood to sleep at all. Just now he had a big fight with his wife. Luckily mother came over, if not she would definitely beat them to death. To actually dare to fight with me again. You are a guardian? Yi Hua asked towards Ren Yao. This Baldy looks rather weak, such a weak person is also a guardian? After all, among the guardians that Yi Hua met, that Su Jiao and Xing Tsang were both very strong, but this Baldy is so weak. What Yi Hua didn't know was that Ren Yao had crushed his strength into a fried egg, which was why his strength was so weak. Ren Yao finally saw the legendary His Honor. Ren Yao only felt that this man is very mysterious. Even the perverted big sister has to stand respectfully in front of this man. From this, it could be seen how terrifying this man is. Thus, I have to answer honestly. That's right, I am a guardian. Then why are you so weak? Yi Hua asked back. Ren Yao felt a stabbing pain in her heart. This His Honor is stabbing my chest right now. Replying to Your Honor, an accident happened, thus I am unable to fully recover my strength. Hearing Ren Yao's explanation, Yi Hua felt relieved. So that's how it is. Are you the same as other espers? You only remember his name and nothing else? End of this chapter. Chapter 1139. Yes, what Your Honor said is correct. Ren Yao replied respectfully. Ren Yao felt that he seemed to know everything. Yi Hua took a deep breath. These guardians don't know anything, other than their names. What exactly are they guarding? I'm very curious right now. However, I will leave Ren Yao behind first. I will take a look at him when the time comes. Go and rest. Yi Hua said faintly. Ren Yao let out a sigh of relief. This His Honor is rather easy to talk to. He isn't as scary as I imagined him to be. Yes. Ren Yao left respectfully. Only 3 members of the 7 sins remained at the scene. Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up, then began puffing out smoke as he asked faintly, What do you all think about Wei Chang's disappearance? Zhu Tian was not present at the scene, thus he remained silent. However, even after hearing what Tang Wei said, he was still unable to determine the situation at the scene. Brett was not present at the scene, thus he wasn't able to make a judgment. Only Yi Zizi was left. Your Honor, I feel that this is a conspiracy. Yi Zizi said decisively. Yi Hua asked faintly, Why? Intuition. Yi Zizi said confidently. Yi Hua knew that it would be like this. Zhu Tian, what do you think about this matter? Your Honor, there are a lot of suspicious points in this matter. Although subordinate was not present at the scene, why would such a powerful black-clothed man exchange for something with the gold in his hands? Zhu Tian raised his doubt. Yi Hua said gravely, The purpose isn't to exchange for something. Zhu Tian mumbled, Could it be to lure them? Yi Hua took a deep breath, then puffed out a mouthful of smoke. If it is to lure them, what is the purpose of it? Also, why would they know about Wei Chang's whereabouts? Or could it be? Wei Chang has long been targeted by them. Yi Hua's questions caused the expressions of the 3 to darken. If we were targeted long ago. If Wei Chang had been targeted by them long ago, then the strength of the other party must be very strong. And now that Wei Chang has disappeared, I'm afraid that the other party is already dead. Your Honor, the strength of the enemy right now is very strong. I feel that we should take the initiative to attack. We cannot passively defend. Brett's temperament had always been impatient and fiery. Defending was not Brett's character. Taking the initiative to attack was the way of the king. Brett, where do you think we should attack? Yi Hua asked faintly. This subordinate believes that the mastermind this time should be the God's realm. As long as we kill those people from the God's realm, it will naturally be fine. Brett said respectfully. It was simply an imaginary enemy. Yi Hua said gravely, that God's realm's emperor is a piece of trash. It is impossible for such a person to exist. Maybe the God's realm is hiding something? Brett said respectfully. In any case, the battle was about to start. It was time to let everyone know the power of a team. Just do it. Do it until everyone was terrified. Yi Hua took a deep breath. I can't mess around with this matter. Yi Hua didn't want to fall into the enemy's trap. At that time he would be laughed at by his enemies. That would be embarrassing, so he had to deal with it calmly. Your Honor, how should we deal with Qing Su? Absolute Heaven asked. Yi Hua tapped on the armrest with his index finger and said gravely, "Right now both Wei Chang and Qing Su have gone missing. If we were to take the initiative to look for them, it would be no different from looking for a needle in a haystack." "Then, Your Honor, we have to think of a way, right? I'm truly worried about Wei Chang." Yi Zizi's relationship with Wei Chang was still quite good, but when it came to their relationship with their emotions, it was just SOSO. Compared to Qing Su, Wei Chang was definitely more important. Yi Hua also wanted to think of a way, but right now he didn't even have a single clue, and he didn't know where to start. "You all can go and rest first, let me sort out my thoughts," Yi Hua said gravely as he rubbed his forehead. The three subordinates left respectfully, and Yi Hua continued to sit on the throne and pondered. He didn't plan to return to his bedroom anymore because if he were to return and see those two women, he would feel irritated. They are truly looking for something to do. This is terrible. After walking out of the bedroom, the three didn't leave immediately. "What's wrong with Your Honor? In the past, you would always start killing just because you don't get along with each other," Brett said in a low voice. Absolute Heaven pinched onto Brett's cheeks, and the latter pouted her small mouth. In this world, only Absolute Heaven would dare to pinch onto Brett's cheeks like that. "Your Honor's mother won't be able to live for much longer." Yi Zizi and Brett didn't know about Lu Jing's matter. After all, back then both of them had left the bedroom. "Your Honor has a mother?" Yi Zizi and Brett cried out in surprise. Absolute Heaven nodded his head. "A lot of things happened when you two weren't around, let me tell you two about them." "All right," Brett said earnestly. After Absolute Heaven told Yi Zizi and Brett about what happened, Yi Zizi and Brett finally understood. His Honor's mother is actually a deity. Meanwhile, His Honor's mother contracted a serious illness, and the medicine was wasted by a palace maid. Furthermore, His Honor's younger brother seems to like this palace maid. My God, what is going on? Why does Yi Zizi feel like she is watching a television show? That's what happened. Recently, His Honor has been very vexed. Qing Su has also disappeared, and there isn't any results from my research. You two shouldn't go and bother His Honor anymore, Absolute Heaven said gravely. Yi Zizi and Brett, who knew about the cause and effect of the matter, finally understood. Yi Zizi asked curiously, "Was that palace maid killed by His Honor?" "No." "Ah? No. Are you sure?" Brett was astonished. His Honor didn't even kill the palace maid. When did he become so nice to her? Absolute Heaven smiled bitterly. Not only did His Honor not kill the palace maid, he even let her out to work in the woodshed. My God, how is this possible? Yi Zizi found it hard to believe. His Honor actually became such a saint. This isn't a good thing. Absolute Heaven placed his hand on Yi Zizi's hand, and the three of them walked together. Absolute Heaven said in a low voice, "I heard that His Honor and his younger brother came to an agreement, which is why he didn't kill the palace maid. So that's how it is, His Honor's younger brother likes this palace maid." Absolute Heaven nodded his head. "However, the one that Yi Ju Tian is going to marry is another woman." The corner of Brett's mouth twitched. "Why do I feel like I am watching a palace drama? How about we go and take a look at this palace maid then?" Right now, Yi Zizi was very curious about this palace maid. Brett was also very curious. What kind of palace maid was able to captivate His Honor's younger brother? "You two sure are gossipy," Absolute Heaven couldn't help but say. Brett pouted his mouth. "You can choose not to come. Wife, accompanying you is my responsibility." Absolute Heaven hurriedly followed after Brett. He discovered that Brett had become a lot sexier recently. On the other side, Qinya and the others sent Lu Jing back to her bedroom, and the four noble women were walking in the imperial palace. Qinya and Donghuang Baiji were still very angry. "It has been such a long time, yet I still haven't seen Yi Zichen." Qing Yutong decided to stand up for her brother-in-law and said, Big sister Baiji, you two shouldn't have quarreled with brother-in-law." End of chapter. Chapter 1140. Qing Yutong, just whose side are you standing on? Qingya was drunk. Is this little sister of mine a fake? Every single time he would stand on Yi Hua's side. Qing Yutong said gravely, "Too many things happened tonight. Lai Gu was poisoned, and the person who poisoned him was one of brother-in-law's subordinates, Qing Su, and that Qing Su kidnapped Do Fusher and brought him away. His whereabouts are unknown, and the most important thing is Wei Chang gone missing. Moreover, he disappeared after fighting with someone, and now brother-in-law can't be contacted." After Qing Yutong finished speaking, both Qingya and Donghuang Baiji remained silent. There were still a lot of things that Chen Yuqing didn't understand. For example, those subordinates of Yi Hua, Sometimes Chen Yuqing basically didn't know who was who, and Yi Hua also didn't bring Chen Yuqing along to get to know them. Therefore, when Chen Yuqing heard what Chen Yuqing said, Chen Yuqing was also confused. She only knew that the person who was very important to Yi Hua had disappeared. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji were both rather shocked. Wei Chang actually went missing as well. Wei Chang and Yi Hua's relationship was so good, Yi Hua would definitely be worried about Wei Chang's disappearance. Right now, Donghuang Baiji still remembered that Wei Chang was by Yi Hua's side when they went to the bar. Wei Chang's disappearance definitely caused Yi Hua's mood to be bad. Even Do Fushi was kidnapped. Too many misfortunes had happened on this night. Big sister Baiji, brother-in-law's mood tonight is truly not good. You two can find trouble with brother-in-law another day, just let brother-in-law deal with everything first. Qing Yutong suggested. As long as you two don't go and cause trouble for brother-in-law, it will be fine. Qingya had a whole new level of respect for her younger sister. I didn't expect that her younger sister would change after going out this time. Qingya patted onto Qing Yutong's shoulder and said earnestly, Yutong, big sister is very gratified right now, you have finally matured. Qing Yutong? To hell with being mature, Qing Yutong, am still young and inexperienced. I am 18 years old every year, okay? On the other side, Yi Zizi, Brett, and Zhu Tian arrived at the woodshed. It was already so late, but the three of them could still hear the sound of wood being chopped in the woodshed. The three took a look at each other. There's still someone who hasn't slept yet. The three of them did not enter from the front. Instead, they appeared in the woodshed while invisible and walked toward the figure chopping firewood. When they saw this woman, Yi Zizi and Brett both had looks of surprise on their faces. What a beautiful woman. Even Absolute Heaven expressed that she was very beautiful. Although he had sneaked a peek at her before, now that he saw her for the second time, he still felt that she was very beautiful. Yi Zizi and Brett finally understood why His Honor's younger brother would be infatuated with Yi Zizi. This kind of woman indeed deserves to be infatuated with. But there seemed to be something wrong with this woman. She was chopping firewood so late at night, and her face was pale and haggard, as if she was injured by something. The webbing between his thumb and forefinger was red, and there were red marks on the handle of the axe. Wuxia Empire's night was still very cold, but there were still beads of sweat that were dripping down her forehead, flowing down her cheeks and falling onto the ground. Dust rose up into the air. This woman was naturally Yi. Why does she look so miserable? Brett asked curiously. Yi Zizi also felt the same. Originally I hated it. After all, I did something wrong, and it is normal for me to be punished by His Honor. However, looking at Yi's current appearance, I feel that she is so pitiful. A girl like this is still chopping firewood, and the web between her thumb and index finger is bleeding, Zhu Tian said softly. It's all because of Yi Juetian. What? Yi Zizi asked curiously. Because Yi Juetian is going to get married to Gong Yu? Zhu Tian shook his head helplessly. The news of Yi Juetian and Gong Yu getting married had long been spread throughout the palace. Yi, who had just been released, was still waiting for Yi Juetian to come and explain, and unexpectedly, what she received was indeed such a grievous news. Yi really wanted to go and find Yi Juetian and ask him why such a big matter. Why didn't you ask me? Yi had been waiting for Yi Juetian to come and explain everything every day, but Yi Juetian didn't come at all. Yi even heard that Yi Juetian and Gong Yu were inseparable, and they were extremely loving. This made Yi feel so much pain that she wished she was dead. Yi often asked herself why this was happening. Could it be that it was because I was born in a lowly position? To be looked down upon by everyone, even the person that one loves the most is the same? Her heart was like dead ashes. This was Yi's current state. As women, Yi Zizi and Brett felt that Yi was pitiful. Therefore there was nothing to hide, and Yi directly revealed herself. Yi suddenly saw two women appearing in front of her. One of them was cute and the other was tall and sexy, but she didn't recognize either of them. However, when she saw Zhu Tian, who was at the back, Yi recognized Zhu Tian and immediately knelt onto the ground to greet him. You can get up. Zhu Tian said faintly. Thank you, Lord. Yi slowly stood up, then slightly lowered her head and stood at the side, not speaking. Brett didn't really like Yi's attitude. In any case, he just disliked Yi. Why are you afraid of us? Brett asked gravely. Yi lowered her head and didn't speak. Why aren't you speaking? Brett asked again. However, Yi still lowered her head and didn't speak. Zhu Tian pulled onto Brett's sleeve. Don't ask any more, she rarely speaks. Indeed, the current Yi didn't speak at all. No matter how others bullied her, she wouldn't speak. It was just like how Yi Juetian saw Yi for the first time on the street. Brett took a look at Yi, then disappeared from the spot. Zhu Tian followed after Brett and left. Yi Zizi raised her head and looked towards Yi, then took out a lollipop and placed it in Yi's hand. "This is very sweet, it might be able to make you feel a bit better." After finished speaking, Yi Zizi disappeared from the spot as well. Yi held onto the lollipop in her hand and stood there for a very long time. Soon after, Yi lightly opened the packaging of the lollipop and looked at the pink ball. Yi stuck out her tongue and licked the lollipop, and a sweet taste lingered in her mouth. "The lollipop is indeed delicious and my mood became slightly better." Yi licked a few mouthfuls of the lollipop, then kept it away. "I will only eat it when my mood is bad." Picking up the axe at the side, Yi arranged the wooden block properly, then raised the axe and chopped down. I wonder if Yi imagined the wooden block to be Yi Juetian. If I continue chopping down the wooden block like this, it will definitely feel great, right? Within the palace hall, Yi Hua pondered for a very long time, then called out, "White bones." The palace hall remained silent for 2 seconds, then a voice sounded out, "Your Honor. I have a mission to give you, and this mission might be rather difficult," Yi Hua said gravely. After thinking for a while, he felt that it would be better for him to let White Bones go out right now because it would be much safer. After all, since White Bones was able to make Wei Chang go missing, then White Bones would also be able to make Yi Zizi and the others cause trouble for Yi Zizi and the others. "I am willing to go through fire and water for your honor," White Bones shouted out respectfully. "You were originally Kaiyun's subordinate, but this time the team is facing a crisis, and it is inconvenient for other people to go out." Subordinate understands. End of this chapter. Chapter 1141. Very well, I want you to go and look for Qing Su. Although his poison is powerful, I am afraid that it shouldn't be able to do anything to air. Before going to look for Qing Su, I still want you to go and kill a person. Yi Hua said coldly. "Right now, only death can make me happy." "Your Honor, please speak," White Bones said gravely. "Go and kill the God's Realm's Emperor Huang Feidi. I want him to die in front of everyone," Yi Hua said with an ice-cold killing intent. "Originally, I wanted to torture Huang Feidi to death, but I don't have the mood to do that anymore." Subordinate obeys. "Does your honor have any other arrangements?" White Bones asked respectfully. "Go and do what you need to do first. You have worked hard," Yi Hua said lightly. "Serving your honor will be subordinate's greatest honor." Yi Hua nodded his head and waved his hand. Yi Hua didn't even know if White Bones had left or not, but he reckoned that White Bones had left. This White Bones is indeed abnormal. If I want to kill it, I will have to spend a lot of effort. Back then, I even let it escape. "Huang Feidi, I originally wanted to play a few rounds with you, but who asked me to be in a bad mood tonight? Since that's the case, don't blame me. In your next life, don't ever provoke my women or my family members. If not, only death and absolute heaven will descend." Yi Hua placed his hand on his forehead and seemed to be thinking about something. "The enemy this time is very cunning. Perhaps only this kind of enemy is worthy of fighting against me. Of course, I am referring to my brain. My strength is #1 in the world. Brother-in-law, are you still thinking about the problem?" Qing Yutong bounced over looking like she was still a child. Yi Hua sighed and asked faintly, "How is your big sister?" "She is still all right, she did not make a fuss anymore." Qing Yutong spread out her hands. "With me, Yutong, isn't big sister still able to settle everything?" Qing Yutong continued, "Brother-in-law, how about we go back now?" "Forget it, I still have a lot of things that I need to think about right now. Just looking at the two of them makes me feel annoyed," Yi Hua said coldly. Qing Yutong pursed her lips. "Brother-in-law, let's go to my bedroom and let Yutong give you a massage to help you stretch your body. Sigh, if your sister was as sensible as you, I wouldn't have to be so sad." Yi Hua shook his head, then stood up and walked down the stairs. Meanwhile, Qing Yutong held onto Yi Hua's arm and leaned onto Yi Hua's shoulder happily. "Look at me, Yutong, I never do anything. They just like to do something. One day if I really make brother-in-law disappear, I will regret it." The next morning, God's Realm Yi family, Yuan Qing, pray to the emperor to help your brother get an official position. Yi Shan, who was dressed in court attire, stood beside Yi Yuan Qing and said. Yi Yuan Qing, dressed in a velvet armor, went to the morning court with his father. "Father, the emperor wants to wipe out our Yi family. Why would he arrange a position for my brother?" Yi Yuan Qing said softly. "If he could, he would have done so long ago." The father and daughter sat in the carriage. Yi Shan said in a low voice, "Yuan Qing, you can try when the time comes. It doesn't matter if you fail or not." "Father, Alright, I'll give it a try. Yi Yuanqing didn't have the heart to reject Yi Yuanqing's father again. It's all because of that bastard. Yi Shan bellowed. Father, please don't talk about Big Brother like that. Yi Yuanqing didn't like his father talking about Big Brother like that anymore. If it wasn't for Big Brother, I might not be standing here right now. Yi Shan said gravely, why can't I talk about him like that? If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have ended up in this state. Father. Don't forget the emperor is afraid of Yi family now. Yi Yuanqing said coldly. His father was no longer the father from back then. His father was like a cowardly tiger that only dared to hide in his own territory. That's not me. Yi Shan said casually. Yi Yuanqing bit his lips lightly. Father, you are just jealous of Big Brother. Bastard. Pa. A slap landed onto Yi Yuanqing's face fiercely. A 5-finger mark immediately appeared on Yi Yuanqing's white face. Yi Yuanqing pulled a long face. He raised his head slightly and held onto his face, appearing to be in disbelief. I didn't expect that my father would actually slap my face. One must know that my father has never slapped me before. Yi Shan was also furious. The only daughter that I fancy is also talking to Yi Hua. I'm not happy. It seems like the entire Yi family was snatched away by Yi Hua. The carriage immediately quietened down. Both father and daughter didn't speak, and Yi Shan had also calmed down a lot. Yuanqing father was impulsive just now. Yi Shan let out a breath, and there was a hint of apology in his words. It is natural for a father to hit his daughter, there is no need for father to apologize. Yi Yuanqing said faintly. Yi Shan suddenly recalled that when Big Brother came back, he fiercely beat up father. I really envy Big Brother's courage, I don't dare to do that myself. Yi Shan was helpless, he knew that his daughter was angry. After arriving at the entrance of the imperial palace, Yi Yuanqing got off the carriage and immediately walked into the imperial palace. Yi Shan was so shocked that he got off the carriage. Lord Yi seems to have gotten into a conflict with our daughter. Yi Shan went into a daze for a moment. He turned his head around and took a look, then shouted out respectfully, Prime Minister Shan. You are being too polite, we might be in-laws in the future. Shan Junren said with a smile, appearing to be very astute. Yi Shan was very puzzled. Does this Shan Junren really want to get married? However, if it is a marriage, it wouldn't be good for Yuanqing's career. Prime Minister Shan, I can't even care about Yuanqing's matters anymore, and he even got into a fight with me just now. Yi Shan said helplessly. The meaning behind his words was that he couldn't make the decision himself, or else he should go and ask his daughter. Shan Junren naturally understood what Yi Shan meant and said with a smile, Lord Yi, let us enter the palace first. Prime Minister Shan, please leave first. You are too polite. Yi Shan knew that the reason why Shan Junren behaved like this was all because of Yi Hua. The reason why they are so respectful to Yi Hua is all because of that unfilial son. It isn't because of me. A father is becoming more and more powerful because of his son. This is simply a humiliation to me. Along the way, Yi Shan heard other people addressing him respectfully. Before Yi Hua appeared, these people wouldn't even dare to let out a fart. Look at now, they have all given quite a lot of good things to Yi Hua. This is the doing of a lowly person. Trash. The civil and military officials arrived at the palace and stood to the left and right. Right now Yi Yuanqing was standing at the very front and he looked rather formidable. Yi Shan could only stand at the back of the line, and this was enough to prove how low his position was. Your Majesty has arrived. Along with a high-pitched voice, Huang Feidi, who was wearing an emperor robe, appeared. For a person to still be able to smile so happily after losing 2 of his sons not too long ago, it could only be Huang Feidi. However, the smile that Huang Feidi was smiling at right now was because he was smiling at Yi Hua. Your mother is going to die soon and I, the emperor, am happy. Didn't you just prevent me from touching a woman? What's the big deal about that? I will just not touch a woman. Do you think that you will be able to make me feel uncomfortable just because of that? Upon thinking about how furious Yi Hua was that day, Huang Feidi felt very happy. End of this chapter. Chapter 1142. Not only am I going to kill your mother, I am also going to kill your entire family and give your women to the dirtiest beggars. Just thinking about it makes me feel great. Blessings to your Majesty. The civil and military officials lowered their heads and shouted. Huang Feidi opened up his arms and took a deep breath, preparing to shout out, but suddenly he felt a chill on his neck, as if he was pricked by an ice needle. After a long time, The civil and military officials were very curious as to why Huang Feidi still hasn't shouted out, "Your Majesty! Your Majesty!" The eunuch who was standing beside Huang Feidi shouted out. The eunuch shouted out a few times but the emperor didn't reply. The eunuch turned his head and took a look. The eunuch finally shouted out a scream that sounded like a woman's. Following the eunuch's shout, the civil and military officials all raised their heads and looked towards Huang Feidi. They immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. Boiling hot blood could be seen flowing out from Huang Feidi's neck. His imperial robe was already dyed red by the blood, and Huang Feidi still had his hands spread out. "Your Majesty! There's an assassin! Your Majesty! What happened to you?" The entire palace was in chaos. "All of you shut up!" Shan Junren shouted out angrily. Yi Yuanqing looked at Huang Feidi who was high above and said gravely, "His Majesty has already passed away." Although he didn't dare to believe it, Yi Yuanqing had no choice but to believe the truth in front of him. His Majesty died in front of everyone's eyes. Just who was it? Who had such great capability? At least half of the people present were supremes, and no matter how powerful the assassin was, there would definitely be some sort of aura fluctuation. Furthermore, Huang Feidi was a supremes himself and now he died for no reason. "General Yi, what do you think?" Shan Junren asked gravely. Yi Yuanqing shook his head. "I don't know, His Majesty was definitely killed by someone, but this person is either too strong or he is just air. Even His Majesty's primordial spirit was eliminated." Everyone's expression was grave. The Emperor of God's realm was assassinated in front of the civil and military officials. Just how much of a face slap is this? "Prime Minister Shan, we should prepare for His Majesty's funeral," Yi Yuanqing said lightly. Shan Junren looked at the people behind him and asked softly, "General Yi, how are we going to choose the crown prince?" For a prime minister to ask such a thing, it was obvious that he wanted Yi Yuanqing to make the decision. Right now, there were even a lot of people who were looking at Yi Yuanqing. His Majesty suddenly died just like that. Could it be that Prince He did it? Yi Yuanqing had no intention of usurping the throne. Even if he wanted to, it would not be justifiable. Seeing that Yi Yuanqing was silent, Shan Junren whispered, "Does Prince Yi have any arrangements?" Shan Junren was full of tricks. He just wanted to ask if Lord Yi was behind this assassination. Yi Yuanqing said in a deep voice, "Prime Minister Shan, my big brother is not in the God's realm. But General Yi, this is a rare opportunity, please inform Prince Yi." Shan Junren said in a low voice and walked away. Yi Yuanqing was a little hesitant and looked at his father. His father's face was filled with panic as if he was afraid of getting into trouble. Yi Yuanqing shook his head. Ask his father? There won't be any results if I do that. I might as well go and ask Big Brother. How is he going to resolve this matter? Should he join hands with Shan Junren to seize the throne? Or should he just do his job? Yi Yuanqing looked towards the golden bright and dazzling throne with a grave expression on his face. Of course there was also Huang Fei who was still standing. Even though he was already dead, his eyes were still filled with disbelief. Why did he die just like that? Just who was he killed? I don't even know why he died so mysteriously. However, the murderer had already left the God's realm a long time ago. To kill a trash, it was as easy as waving his hand. Huang Fei's death shook the entire spiritual city. However, the news of him being assassinated was buried. Everyone said that the emperor suddenly fell ill and died after vomiting a few mouthfuls of blood. Who came up with this excuse? Don't you think that this is too sloppy? A supreme martial artist died after vomiting a few mouthfuls of blood? Is this a joke? But no matter what, the emperor died. This was what everyone was concerned about. Furthermore, the problem now was the emperor died. Who was going to be the emperor? Among those princes of Huang Fei, all of them were idling around and not doing proper work. Even the more outstanding Huang Yun had died, and there was also the eldest prince Huang Li. Who else had the qualifications to be the emperor? However, right at this moment, someone shouted out that it was perfectly justifiable for Prince Yi to be the emperor. Although they did not have the same surname, they were still princes. However, this saying received a heavy blow from the royal family. A prince with another surname wants to be the emperor? Impossible. Right at this moment, someone questioned, other than Prince Yi, who else had the qualifications to be the emperor? The emperors of the God's realm were basically all supported by the people. Of course, they were supported by the royal family. This was also why Huang Yun cared so much about the opinions of the people. Huang Fei was the same as well. If not for taking into consideration the opinions of the people, Huang Fei would have directly killed him. However, the problem now was that there were no outstanding people in the royal family, and all of them were trash. You want to let trash become the emperor? The people couldn't afford to lose face like that. If Huang Yun knew that such a thing would happen, he would definitely act calmly. Right now, the throne was on his head, there was no need to fight over it at all. The emperor died and the entire spiritual city was in a mess. Everyone was discussing about the issue of the new emperor. Right now, Yi Yuanqing was already standing at the entrance of Wuxia Empire, and he was amazed by Big Brother's city. Such a tall and luxurious city wall, Big Brother is just too rich, isn't he? So reflective, so dazzling. This city wall is even sturdier than spiritual city wall. Big Brother is truly formidable. After walking into the city, Yi Yuanqing saw a different city. The streets here were very wide, much wider than spiritual cities, and the people walking on the streets were not crowded at all. Furthermore, the streets were very busy, and the people were very friendly with each other. Everyone had a blissful smile on their faces, and they were very satisfied with their current lives. Yi Yuanqing thought to himself, Big Brother is truly a genius, to be able to manage an empire properly. Perhaps, if Big Brother is able to become the emperor of the gods' realm, it would be a blessing for the people. Thinking up to here, Yi Yuanqing seemed to have made up his mind and walked towards the royal palace. Right now, Yi Hua was currently in deep thought in his study room. Hearing that his little sister had come, Yi Hua slightly went into a daze, and a trace of a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. His mood became slightly better. Yuanqing. Seeing that his little sister walked over, Yi Hua said with a slight smile. Yi Yuanqing pretended to be confused. Should I call you Big Brother Emperor or Big Brother? Up to you as long as you are happy. Yi Hua stretched out his hand and patted onto Yi Yuanqing's head. The latter enjoyed this kind of action very much. Yuanqing, why did you come? Chen Yuqing, who was standing at the side, cried out in surprise. Sister-in-law, wow. How long has it been since we last met? How did you become so beautiful? It can't be that you had sex with Big Brother, right? End of this chapter. Chapter 1143. Chen Yuqing blushed. You're an unmarried girl. You really have a big mouth. When the time comes, no one will want you. Ah, sister-in-law is shy. Yi Yuanqing teased. Sister-in-law could only be like this in front of his brother. Yi Yuanqing's arrival had indeed made the atmosphere a lot better, and it also made Yi Hua slightly happier. Big brother Huang Feidi has died. Yi Yuanqing said gravely, then looked at his big brother. Chen Yuqing's eyes widened in shock as she exclaimed, What? Huang Feidi is dead? When did that happen? A few days ago. Yi Hua acted as if he didn't hear anything and continued to ponder about his own matters. Big brother? Yi Yuanqing called softly. Yi Hua raised his head and looked towards his little sister, then responded with an oh. He didn't put the matter to heart at all. However, Yi Yuanqing had a guess in his heart. The emperor's death was definitely related to his big brother. This time he came down to ask his big brother. Big brother Huang Feidi's death? Before Yi Yuanqing could finish speaking, Yi Hua said lightly, Big brother, I was the one who asked someone to do it. Yi Yuanqing and Chen Yuqing exclaimed at the same time. Yi Yuanqing didn't expect that Big Brother was the one who did it. His brain couldn't react. Big Brother what? Yi Yuanqing didn't understand. Why did Big Brother want to do it now? If he wanted to do it, he could have done it earlier. Why did he do it now? I can't stand the sight of him. Yi Hua said coldly. That damned Huang Feidi. Let him die a little more quickly. It was a painless death. Indeed, Huang Feidi didn't even feel anything before he died. Chen Yuqing was a bit afraid. She was afraid that Yi Hua would start a war with the deities. It had been a period of time since I stayed at Yi Hua's side. The military strength of the entire Voidless Empire was scarce, and when compared to God's realm, the difference between the military strength of Voidless Empire and God's realm was like heaven and earth. Chen Yuqing still didn't know the strength of Yi Hua's subordinates. The battle of the 7 deadly sins wasn't a battle of attrition. Take Qing Su for example, no matter where he went, he would be able to poison a group of people. Furthermore, there was also Yi Zizi's great absorption technique, coupled with Wei Chang's great absorption technique. No matter how many people there were, it would be useless. Unfortunately, Wei Chang had disappeared and his whereabouts were unknown. Big brother, why did you suddenly attack now? Does Big Brother want to? Yi Hua lightly waved his hand, and the conversation between him and Huang Feidi appeared. Yi Yuanqing was shocked and quickly asked, Big brother, what happened to Aunt Lu? Mother doesn't have much spiritual spring left, and it was wasted by a palace maid. Yi Hua said coldly. Right now he was filled with anger. This palace maid was sent by Huang Feidi? Yi Hua said gravely, most likely. This Huang Feidi. Damn it. Yi Yuanqing said hatefully. He deserved to die. Yi Hua asked faintly, what is the current situation in Spirit City? Now that Huang Feidi is dead, who will be the new emperor? Big brother, your voice is very loud right now. As long as Big brother is willing to go back, Prime Minister Shan said that Big brother can definitely become the emperor of the gods' realm. In Yi Yuanqing's heart, if Big brother really killed the emperor, then Big brother should have the idea of becoming the emperor. However, Yi Yuanqing was wrong. The reason why Yi Hua killed Huang Feidi was not for the throne. In Yi Hua's heart, the throne was just a decoration. Not interested, Big brother, I still have a lot of things that I have to deal with. Yi Hua said calmly. How can the throne be more important than mother's illness and Wei Chang? In Chen Yuqing's heart, she also felt that Yi Hua should go back and fight for the throne. After all, the emperor of the gods' realm is much more powerful than this emperor. After all, that emperor is able to control a lot of planes. Even Kangluo continent is just one of the bigger planes. However, when Yi Yuanqing heard what his big brother said, he felt a wave of disappointment. Big brother is actually not interested. Yi Hua stood up and walked to his sister's side, then patted on her shoulder and said, Yuanqing, you can become the emperor. Meh. Big brother, stop joking around, there has never been a woman who has become the emperor of the gods' realm. Yi Yuanqing said fearfully. He was frightened by his big brother's terrifying thought. Yi Hua laughed lightly, Yuanqing, big brother killed Huang Feidi, and that was also to pave the way for you. If you sit on the throne, what difference would there be between big brother sitting on the throne and you sitting on the throne? Yi Yuanqing didn't expect that his big brother would actually have such a thought. Yi Yuanqing was very touched. Big brother is actually paving the way for me, and it is even a throne. A throne that everyone covets. Big brother is giving it to me just like that. Big brother trusts me so much. Tell that Shan Junren if he is sensible, then stand on my side, if not. Yi Hua sent out a death notice. If one stands on my side, at least one won't die. If one stands on the opposite side of my main body, other than death, there is no other possibility. Big brother. I am still not mentally prepared. In the end, Yi Yuanqing is a woman, this throne is not a daughter-in-law. And from big brother's mouth, whoever he wants to sit on the throne can sit on it. That throne has been sat on by the royal family for 10,000 years, and now that the throne has suddenly changed to another surname, it is inevitable that an accident will occur. Yi Hua wasn't very anxious and said lightly, it's fine, you will get used to it in the future. For the next few days, you will properly have fun at Big Brother's place and think about how you should walk your path in the future. Big Brother still wants you to sit on the throne. Who said that women can't sit on the throne? Big Brother wants you to break this convention. Hearing what Big Brother said, Yi Yuanqing's blood started boiling. That's right. All these years, didn't I want to prove that women can also do what men can do? Thank you, Big Brother, I will properly think about it. Yi Yuanqing said respectfully. Yi Hua treated this little sister very well, and he felt that Yi Yuanqing was very sensible, even more sensible than his own younger brother. After a period of time, Zhu Tian will be getting married. At that time, you should attend the wedding first before going back. Yi Hua added. Yi Yuanqing cried out in surprise once again, ah! Little Tian is getting married? With who? Yuqing, bring Yuanqing over to take a look, I still have a lot of things to think about. Shen Yuqing knew that during this period of time, Yi Hua was very vexed and had a lot of things to do. Thus, she gave Yi Yuanqing an eye signal, and Yi Yuanqing immediately understood. Big brother, that little sister has gone out. Yi Hua nodded his head. The two women walked outside, and Yi Yuanqing asked curiously, Sister-in-law, just what is going on with that palace maid? Chen Yuqing sighed helplessly. Too many things have happened during this period of time. Little Tian likes that palace maid. Little Tian likes that palace maid? What is going on? Didn't that palace maid harm Aunt Lo? Yi Yuanqing felt that his brain wasn't enough to process what was going on. This relationship is a bit complicated. Yuanqing, in actuality, I feel that that palace maid shouldn't have been sent by Huang Feidi, and Yi Hua should have thought wrongly. However, Yi Hua is very sensitive towards this matter, and no matter who brings up this matter, he would not show a good expression. End of this chapter. Chapter 1144. This is also because of Aunt Lo. Big brother is very filial. Yi Yuanqing could understand his big brother. Sigh, that palace maid's life is actually quite bitter. Qian Yuqing sighed. Sister-in-law, take me to see little Tian first. Yes. The two of them quickly arrived at Yi Juetian's sleeping quarters. It was broad daylight, and Yi Juetian was sitting in the pavilion drinking tea. Gong Yu sat at the side and played the zither. The pleasant sound of the zither floated in the air, very pleasing to the ear. As expected of a talented woman, Gong Yu was well versed in all kinds of martial arts. Such a woman was indeed a very good marriage partner. However, Yi Juetian did not feel anything from the beginning to the end. His entire mind was focused on Yi. Gong Yu, who was playing the zither, could feel that although Yi Juetian was faking it with her, Yi Juetian was still thinking about the woodshed. Why? Why can't I, Gong Yu, compare to a lowly servant? I can play the zither and pour water for you. In the future, I can even give birth to a child and help you in your career. But what can that Yi give you? Apart from acting coquettishly, what else was there to do? Little Tian. Yi Yuanqing shouted out. This fellow seems to have become more mature, unlike how he used to be in the Yi family. Men could only mature after experiencing love. Second sister. Yi Juetian immediately stood up. He was very excited. Gong Yu, who was at the side, also stopped playing her zither, and respectfully stood behind Yi Juetian. When Yi Yuanqing walked over, Gong Yu obediently greeted, sister-in-law, second sister. Yi Yuanqing looked at Gong Yu and felt that the two of them were quite compatible. It was a good thing to see little Tian get married. Lil, Tian, you've changed from a boy to a man now, right? Yi Yuanqing couldn't help but tease and pat Yi Juetian's shoulder. Yi Yuanqing was a general. When he was at the border, he was surrounded by men. Hence, he sometimes spoke like a man. But in front of her big brother, she still acted like a daughter and was very respectful. Yi Juetian laughed dryly. There is indeed such a thing where a boy becomes a man, but that was an accident. Gong Yu blushed. She didn't expect her second sister to be so bold. Qian Yuqing tugged at Yi Yuanqing, indicating that he was a bit dirty now. I'll go get some water for sister-in-law and second sister. Gong Yu jogged away, her face red from being teased. After Gong Yu left, Yi Yuanqing chuckled and said, Not bad, little Tian is very good at picking up girls. It hasn't been long since we last met and he has already gotten himself a beauty. Second big sister, don't laugh at me anymore. Gong Yu and I are just pretending, that's all. Yi Juetian let out a long sigh. Sister-in-law knew about his situation, so there was nothing for Yi Juetian to hide. Qian Yuqing sighed softly. Yi Yuanqing glanced at his sister-in-law, confused. Little Tian, what's wrong with you? You bullied her and you're still pretending? Second big sister, this matter is a long story. The person I like is someone else. That palace maid? Yi Yuanqing asked in a deep voice. Yes. Then do you know that the palace maid harmed Auntie Lu? Yi Yuanqing questioned. Yi Juetian raised his head, looked at Yi Yuanqing and said firmly, Second sister, Yi will definitely not do that kind of thing. I dare to use my life to guarantee it. Little Tian, then what do you want to do now? Yi Yuanqing asked in a low voice. Yi Juetian said helplessly, I can only marry Gong Yu, only then will I be able to protect Yi's life. Big brother promised me this. No wonder Big Brother didn't kill that palace maid, so it turns out that he had an agreement with little Tian. After all, framing Auntie Lu, it was already a miracle that the palace maid didn't die. Little Tian, right now Huang Feidi is dead. Yi Yuanqing said in a low voice. What? Dead? Yi Juetian cried out in surprise. I originally wanted to help Yi clear her name, but this Huang Feidi actually died. Right now who can clear Yi's name? There's no one left. Yi will have to bear the crime of murdering her mother for the rest of her life. Yi Juetian held onto his forehead with both of his hands, appearing to be in great pain. How did he die? It was Big Brother who ordered people to go and kill him. Yi Yuanqing said lightly. The death of such a big emperor, when spoken like this, made it seem as if it was very normal, and there was no need to take it to heart at all. Huang Feidi deserved to die. Yi Juetian didn't have any thoughts about it, but right now the dead can't testify. At this time, Gong Yu walked over while carrying a cup of tea. Yi Yuanqing revealed a gentle smile. He suddenly felt that this woman was rather pitiful, and he could clearly feel that she liked little Tian. However, little Tian liked another woman, and the most painful thing in life was none other than the person you liked falling in love with someone else. Juetian, sister-in-law, second sister, have some tea. Gong Yu shouted respectfully and poured more tea for the three of them. Yi Yuanqing could only smile and say, Sister-in-law is very virtuous. Second sister, you must be joking, I'm just doing what I should do. Gong Yu said with a slight smile. If it wasn't for little Tian liking another woman, Yi Yuanqing would feel that Gong Yu was very compatible with little Tian. However, Yi Yuanqing was also very curious about that exactly what kind of woman could make little Tian so infatuated with her. The four sat together and chatted for a while, and after that Yi Yuanqing decided to go and take a look at that After walking out of the bedroom, Yi Yuanqing said lightly, "Sister-in-law, bring me to take a look at that Are you really going? And I want to see what kind of person she is so that I can have an estimate in my heart." Yi Yuanqing wanted to see why this was able to obtain little Tian's trust, and whether or not she was Huang Feidi's secret agent. Qian Yuqing nodded her head, and the two of them walked towards the woodshed. During the day, the door of the woodshed was wide open. Before Qian Yuqing and Yi Yuanqing even walked into the woodshed, they heard a burst of ear-piercing cheers, and the sound of whips could also be heard. This lowly servant girl actually likes Lord Yi. Even in her dreams, she calls out Lord Ye's name. Why don't you take a look at your own status? Is Lord Yi someone you can climb up to? Ugly duckling, do you want to eat Dragon King meat? You think that just because you look good, you can dream of being a princess? Watch how I beat you to death, lowly servant girl. Pa. Qian Yuqing's expression sunk, and she hurriedly ran inside, and Yi Yuanqing also hurriedly followed after her. The scene that appeared in front of them caused Qian Yuqing and Yi Yuanqing's expression to sink. 4 or 5 palace maids surrounded a palace maid and mocked and ridiculed her, and that palace maid was even curled up, allowing one of the palace maids to whip her. Although they were all ordinary people, but when they whipped a human body, that kind of pain was still very unbearable. Furthermore, even her clothes were torn. The degree of savageness was enough to make one's hair stand up in anger. "What are you doing?" Qian Yuqing shouted coldly. These palace maids were originally sent here because they committed crimes, so they were all not good women, and their jealousy was very strong. Actually, this was already not the first time that Yi was bullied, but Yi had always been enduring it, and was still waiting for Yi Jueqian to give her an explanation. End of this chapter. Chapter 1145. Empress, good luck. The palace maids immediately kneeled down in fear. Yi slightly raised her head and looked towards Qian Yuqing. Yi had a good impression of Qian Yuqing. She used all of her strength to bow towards Qian Yuqing. That action of hers made one's heart ache. Yi Yuanqing could already feel that the palace maid who was beaten up was Yi. She is indeed beautiful, no wonder little Tian likes her. But, why was she beaten up like this? What happened? Qian Yuqing questioned coldly. The palace maids looked at each other and didn't know how to answer. However, Yi said weakly, "Empress, I didn't do my job well, that's why I was punished." The palace maids let out a breath. "At least you know how to plead for us, if not I will beat you to death." Qian Yuqing was very angry. She stretched out her palm and waved it. Pa. The palace maids immediately felt pain on their faces as they were slapped away. They fell to the side and wailed. "Scram!" Qian Yuqing shouted coldly. The palace maids endured the pain and kneeled down. "Empress, please spare us." Scram! The palace maids were delighted. However, they didn't expect that Yi would actually have the Empress backing her up. Her background is so big. It seems like I have to be more careful in the future. The palace maids left obediently. Qian Yuqing walked to the front of Yi and helped the pitiful Yi up. "Are you all right?" "Empress, I am fine." Yi squeezed out a trace of a smile. Qian Yuqing directly rolled up Yi's sleeves. The red scars on Yi's sleeves were very shocking. The scars on Yi's shoulders were the same. Qian Yuqing directly lifted up Yi's clothes, and on Yi's fair back, sinister wounds could be seen. Qian Yuqing felt that I should have killed those palace maids just now. They are actually so vicious. Yi Yuanqing stood at the side and didn't speak. However, her eyebrows were tightly wrinkled. "I never expected that the girl that little Tian likes would actually be abused here." Qian Yuqing couldn't bear to see Yi like this. She decided to have a good talk with Yi tonight. Yi is definitely not a spy. If I didn't come today, Yi might have been beaten to death by those palace maids. I am really fine. Yi squeezed out a gentle smile and placed down Yi's clothes. Qian Yuqing released a white glow and instantly healed Yi's injuries. "You've suffered." Hearing those 3 words, the grievances in Yi's heart immediately gushed out. She wasn't afraid of being beaten by others and she wasn't afraid of being mocked by others, but she was afraid of being cared for by others. Tears flowed down from Yi's exquisite face. Chen Yuqing's heart ached for Yi too, and she lightly hugged onto Yi. Alright, don't cry anymore. Yi Yuanqing was now a little doubtful. Was such a woman a spy? In that case they were either too good at acting, using their lives to be spies, or they were wrongly accused. But looking at the current situation, it did seem that he was wronged. If he didn't come today, it would be normal for him to be beaten to death. How could she have predicted his return? Yi, let's go. Don't wait any longer. Chen Yuqing said softly. If you continue to wait like this, you will lose your life. Yi shook her head and whispered, Empress, I'm not leaving. What? If you continue like this, something bad will happen. I also don't wish to see the Empress being punished because of my matter. I am guilty, these punishments are what I deserve. In actuality, Yi didn't wish for others to be harmed because of her matter. If I were to be let go by the Empress, the Emperor would definitely hold me accountable. For me, it isn't worth it. Furthermore, I am still waiting for an explanation. Even if I have to wait till the end of time, I still want to wait for this explanation. You silly girl, why bother? Chen Yuqing lightly stroked onto Yi's hair. Can't you think for yourself? At this moment, Yi Yuanqing, who was standing at the side, asked, Yi, do you really like Xiao Tian? Yi raised her head and looked towards Yi Yuanqing. Her gaze was filled with doubt. I am Yi Juetian's second sister. Yi Yuanqing added. So it is Ye's second sister. Yi immediately felt afraid. Perhaps it was because of her big brother, Yi Hua. Yi felt that this second sister of hers is probably not that easy to talk to. Chen Yuqing could sense that Yi's body was trembling. Seems like Yi is truly afraid of Yi Hua. Furthermore, upon hearing that Yi is Yi Hua's little sister, Yi immediately thought that Yi is the same as Yi Hua. Yi, don't be afraid. Chen Yuqing's words were still useful. In this kind of palace, the only person that Yi could trust was Chen Yuqing. In Yi's heart, she didn't know if she should trust Yi Juetian or not. Yi Yuanqing sighed in his heart, not knowing what to say. Yi only managed to calm herself down after a long while. Just now her emotions were a bit big. After all, Yi was also an ordinary person, and even if she wasn't made of iron, she still had emotions. Empress, is Ye going to get married soon? Yi asked in a low voice. Her disappointment was clear to see. Chen Yuqing sighed lightly. Yes, very soon. Yi bit her lips tightly. Oh. Yi, take it slow, don't do anything foolish, understand? I will think of a way for you. Chen Yuqing warned. She was afraid that Yi would take things too hard, and if that happened, all the things that Xiao Tian did would be wasted. Looking at Yi's lifeless look, Chen Yuqing wanted to tell Yi that in actuality, Xiao Tian got married in order to save your life. However, Chen Yuqing was afraid that if she were to tell Yi about this matter, Yi would have even more terrifying thoughts, and by then, it would be even more troublesome. However, if I don't tell Yi about this matter, am I going to let Yi continue to be sad? I'm truly in a dilemma. Empress, don't worry, I won't do anything foolish, don't go. Yi didn't finish her words, but Chen Yuqing knew what Yi wanted to say. On this matter, it was very hard for Yi Hua to change his mind. After all, this matter was related to his mother, and it could be counted as touching Yi Hua's reverse scale. Chen Yuqing tidied up Yi's clothes, then said coldly towards the woodshed, if you all dare to bully people again, kill without mercy. No one will be able to save you all. When the palace maids heard that, they trembled. It wasn't good for Chen Yuqing to stay for too long. If Yi Hua heard what she said, he would definitely scold her again. Right now, Yi Hua's mood wasn't good to begin with. After walking out of the woodshed, Chen Yuqing asked, Yuanqing, do you feel that Yi looks like a spy? Doesn't look like one. Yi Yuanqing shook his head. This was based on a woman's intuition because right now, he was only looking at the surface. However, Yi Hua is certain. Yi Yuanqing said lightly, after all, Yi's suspicion is the biggest, and it is an iron-like fact that Yi wasted the spiritual spring. That's right, if Yi didn't waste the spiritual spring, this might not have happened. Chen Yuqing let out a light sigh. On one hand she was worried about her mother and on the other hand she was worried about Yi. Could it be that there is no way to satisfy both sides? Inside the woodshed, Yi sat on the stone bench at the side, took out the lollipop that Yi Zizi gave to her and held it in her mouth. End of this chapter. Chapter 1146. Feeling that special sweetness, Yi felt comfortable in her heart. Then she wrapped it up in paper and ate it when she was in a bad mood. However, when she thought about how Ye was about to get married, Yi felt uncomfortable. It has been so long, Why isn't there a single explanation? Even if it's just a simple explanation, I don't want much, I just want a sentence. Yi slightly raised her head and looked at the sky above the palace. The sky was no longer as blue as before. Qian Yuqing and Yi Yuanqing arrived at Lu Jing's bedroom and discovered that Yi Hua was discussing something with his mother. Aunt Lu. Yi Yuanqing called out sweetly. Yuanqing is here, quickly let Aunt Lu take a look. Lu Jing's mood was very good as she smiled towards Yi Yuanqing. Yi Yuanqing walked to Lu Jing's side and held onto Lu Jing's hand. Aunt Lu, you are much prettier than before. Then wasn't Aunt Lu beautiful before? Lu Jing asked back. Yi Yuanqing didn't know what to say. This reaction caused Lu Jing to laugh. Aunt Lu, you are teasing Yuanqing again. Yi Yuanqing acted coquettishly. Lu Jing lightly caressed Yi Yuanqing's hair. At this moment, 3 figures appeared at the door. Qingye, Donghuang Baiji and Qin Yutong could be seen slowly walking in. It had been a few days since Yi Hua last talked to Qingye and Donghuang Baiji. Right now, no one was talking to each other. Mother. The 3 respectfully called out. Sister-in-law is here. Yi Yuanqing smiled happily. Although she had never seen Qin Yutong before, she had heard about her. Qin Yutong looked at Yi Yuanqing with a dumbfounded look on her face. Could this be brother-in-law's concubine again? She looks quite pretty. Brother-in-law finally understands and knows how to expand his harem. Yutong, this is Yi Hua's sister. Qingye introduced, not letting her sister think too much. Qin Yutong's mouth twitched. So she is brother-in-law's sister, my god? I was thinking too much just now. What a scary thought. Hello, sister-in-law. Hello, sister-in-law. Yi Yuanqing could feel that Qin Yutong's personality was very easy to get along with. However, Yi Yuanqing also felt that Big Brother seemed to have quarreled with the 2 sisters-in-law. Big Brother didn't even bother to look at them. Lu Jing was helpless. This son of mine just wants face so much. He just had to coax his wife a little. It was a very simple matter, but the more he coaxed her, the more complicated it became. Lu Jing laughed lightly. Yehua, call Lil Tian and Gong Yu over. After all, this is also their matter. Yi Hua nodded his head, then sent a sound transmission to Yi Jueqian to bring Gong Yu over. What is it, mother? Qian Yuqing curiously asked. Yi Hua said faintly, I plan to let them get married as soon as possible. Everyone was a little confused. Wasn't it supposed to be 2 months later? Why was it suddenly brought forward? Yi Hua knew that these people were puzzled and he said gravely, recently, a lot of bad things have happened, and I plan to wash away the bad things that have happened. I hope that there will be a good omen. Everyone finally understood what Yi Hua was planning to do. Thinking about it, it made sense. Too many bad things had happened recently, and it was a good choice to wash away the bad news. They were going to get married anyway, so it didn't matter if they got married earlier. However, Qian Yuqing was worried about Yi Jueqian and Gong Yu quickly appeared, and the first thing they did was respectfully greet them. Little Tian. Yi Hua called out lightly. Big Brother, do you have any instructions for me? Big Brother plans to let you and Gong Yu get married as soon as possible, and the time will be 7 days later. Yi Hua said lightly. He hoped that this would bring him a bit of good luck. After all, this was a happy occasion. After Gong Yu heard this, she felt joyous in her heart. Only by getting married as soon as possible would the stone in my heart be at ease. However, after Yi Jueqian heard this, he instantly became absent-minded. Although he knew that the wedding was going to be completed soon, he wasn't prepared at all in his heart. Big Brother, isn't it a bit too hasty? Yi Jueqian said in a soft voice. You don't have to worry about this matter, Big Brother will arrange it for you. Yi Hua said faintly. Now that my little brother has gotten married, I will be able to put my heart at ease and deal with other matters. Yi Jueqian didn't say anything. Little Tian, in the future you will be a man with a wife, so you have to become more sensible, do you understand? Take good care of Gong Yu. Lu Jing said with a slight smile, feeling gratified in her heart. Her youngest son's marriage has finally been settled. Yi Jueqian was still able to say, all right, mother, I understand, I will take good care of Gong Yu. Gong Yu stood at the side looking very shy, just like a little wife. Gong Yu wasn't faking it, she was indeed very happy. I still have some matters to attend to, mother, I will be leaving first. Yi Hua stood up and said faintly, seemingly not wanting to sit in the same room as Qingye and Donghuang Baiji. Lu Jing wrinkled her brows. Yi Hua, why are you in such a rush? Eat at mother's place, the 2 of you don't leave, accompany this old mother to eat. Everyone knew what Lu Jing's intention was. I have already said it, is Yi Hua not going to accompany mother to eat? That's impossible. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji felt wronged in their hearts. It was clearly you who was in the wrong first, and yet you are still giving us that attitude right now, and you are even ignoring us. Alright, let's see who can last longer. The dishes were all prepared by Blood Demon, the head chef, and all of the dishes were Yihua's favorite dishes, such as crayfish, crab. The delightful aroma immediately pervaded the entire room. Brother-in-law, for little Tian's big wedding, who are we going to invite over? We have to make it more lively. Qing Yutong asked curiously. Yihua had long thought about this and he said faintly, the big shots from all of the surrounding powers, to be more precise, the big shots from the entire north. Why to make it so big? Qing Yutong felt that this is fun. Brother-in-law is probably trying to show off his strength, right? Qing Yutong indeed understood Yihua. Yihua indeed wants to show off his strength and let the entire north know that Wuxia Empire is invincible. Yihua nodded his head. When the time comes, the two of you should be more dignified. This sentence was clearly said to Qingya and Donghuang Baiji. It's fine to quarrel, but when the day comes, remember your identity and don't lose face for me. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji still don't know what Yihua meant? This fellow not only wants to show off his strength, he also wants to show off his women. He is simply born to act cool. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji knew what was more important. When the time comes, all of the big shots from the entire north will be present. No matter how much they quarrel, they will still have to give Yihua face. Yuqing, what's wrong? Yihua asked lightly. He noticed that Chen Yuqing's expression was a bit abnormal. Chen Yuqing smiled slightly. It's nothing. In actuality, Chen Yuqing was thinking, when the time comes, the consequences would be unimaginable. At this moment, Qingya suddenly said, Yuqing is thinking, when are you going to give her a wedding? This sentence of hers is very profound. Yihua immediately understood what Qingya was trying to say. You are blaming me for not giving you a wedding again. Isn't it just a ceremony? If these women want to mention it once a year, then I will just drag it on for a year. End of this chapter. Chapter 1147. At this time, Li Jing also said, Yihua, no matter how busy you are, you still have to think about your wife, do you understand? With Granny speaking up for them, Qingya and the others were happy in their hearts. It is fortunate that we have Granny to help us. Yihua said in a low voice, Mother, I understand. After I am done with this matter, I will marry them. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji snorted in their hearts. What kind of tone is this? It's as if he's very unwilling. Act tough, King Yi, we still haven't agreed to it. Li Jing was also helping her son and daughter-in-law to ease the tension between them. Husband and wife are fighting on the bed, right? You agreed to get married. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji's expressions became much worse. After Yihua finished eating, he went to look for absolute heaven to see if there was any progress. Soon after, Yihua once again held a mobilization meeting and invited all of the powers in the north. Those who gave him face would come. Not giving me face, of course the wedding invitations were sent out by a group of subordinates. Although the time was relatively short, it was still within the scope of control. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji still joined the group to help out, but the Cold War still continued, and Qing Yutong and Chen Yuqing were also unable to do anything about it. Yi Juetian was vexed, but Gong Yu was happy. After all, she was about to marry into the Yi family. At that time he would be a member of the Yi family. In the woodshed no one dared to bully Yi anymore. These palace maids were not fools. They knew that Yi was protected by the Empress. If they continued to bully her, they would be courting death. At this time, several palace maids gathered together to discuss the matter of Lord Yi, which was also the latest news. Have you heard? Lord Ye's wedding date has been brought forward. Of course I know. It was supposed to be a few months, but it was suddenly postponed to a few days later. I'm so envious. To be able to marry a man like Prince Yi, he's so handsome, that's right. Prince Yi and His Majesty are blood-related brothers. They look exactly the same. Sleeping with one is equivalent to sleeping with two. You coquettish hussy. Yi carried her dinner and was just about to enter when she heard the news about Yi Juetian. She stopped in her tracks. When Yi heard that Ye's wedding date had been brought forward a few days later, she was completely stupefied, and the rice bowl in her hand fell to the ground. This attracted the attention of the palace maids inside. The palace maids walked out one after another, and when they saw Yi, who was in a daze, they were already used to it. This woman was so infatuated that it felt like she was sick. However, she had the support of the Empress. The palace maid hurriedly helped Yi tidy up and even warmly invited Yi into the room. Yi's mind was filled with the news of Ye's upcoming marriage. On this day Yi didn't know how she got through it. She felt like her inner world had completely collapsed. Although I knew that this day would come, but when it really came, I didn't know what to do. Panic, all kinds of emotions pervaded Yi's mind. However, wasn't it the same for Yi Juetian as well? They were clearly in the same palace, yet, it was hard for them to meet each other. Night fell. Yi got up from the bed. Since Yi didn't come and look for me, then I will go and look for Yi. Why didn't you come and meet me? Even if you just let someone pass a word to me, it would be fine. After putting on her clothes, Yi opened the door and walked out, appearing to be very careful. But, where is Ye? The imperial palace is so big, where am I going to find him? Yi couldn't care less. If she didn't find Ye, she would even have the heart to die. If Ye didn't want him anymore, then what was the point of him staying in this world? Walking in the dark and gloomy imperial palace, Yi felt so unfamiliar and scary. The walls were clearly not very tall, yet they separated Yi and Ye. Why did you come out? A voice rang out behind Yi. Yi's heart sunk. I just came out and I am going to be caught? Suddenly turning her head around, Yi saw a little girl. Isn't this the little girl that gave me a candy that day? It's you. Yi let out a breath. I feel that this little girl doesn't have any ill intentions. The little girl that came was precisely Yi Zizi. In actuality, Yi Zizi also came to look for Yi. Yi Zizi thought to herself that the lollipop should have been finished by Yi, right? Seeing that Yi is pitiful, I decided to give you another lollipop. In the end, I didn't expect that Yi would sneak out. Don't you know that you will die if you sneak out like this? Yi Zizi said while shouting the lollipop. Yi lightly bit onto her lips. She knew the rules of the woodshed. Without the orders of a female official, sneaking out of the woodshed was a crime. Yi Zizi let out a light sigh. This woman is truly pitiful. Where do you want to go? Yi Zizi asked curiously. I want to go look for Yi. Yi didn't know what to do and directly set out her purpose. Yi Zizi asked confusedly, Yi Juetian. Oh, why are you looking for him? I want to ask him. Yi said in a low voice, appearing to be in a lot of pain. Yi Zizi let out a light sigh. Do you know where Yi Juetian's bedroom is? Don't know. You are really stupid just swaggering around like this. If you get caught, you will be dead for sure. Yi Zizi shook her head. This woman is really stupid. She doesn't even know how to plan properly before coming out. However, Yi Zizi also knew why Yi was in a hurry to look for Yi Juetian. After all, the news of the marriage had already spread, and Yi was anxious. Should I help her or not? Looking at such a pitiful woman, Yi Zizi let out a breath. I will bring you there. Really? Will it be inconvenient? Yi felt happy in her heart, but she still had to think for Yi Zizi's sake. Don't let Yi Zizi get punished because of me. What's inconvenient about it? Aren't you just saying a few words? Yi Zizi asked. And just asking a few words. Alright, I, Yi Zizi, have never done a good deed before, so I will do a good deed today. Yi Zizi grabbed onto Yi's hand and instantly disappeared from the spot. Within Yi Juetian's bedroom, there were only a few palace maids on duty. However, those few palace maids immediately became strange, as if they were fixed in place. Yi Juetian and Gong Yu, who were in the room, frowned, and Gong Yu came out from her own room. The two looked at each other. It's already so late, who wants to come and cause trouble? Right now, Yi appeared at the bottom of the stairs outside the door, and Yi Zizi stood guard for her. Since I have already helped, I might as well help till the end. Yi, who was outside, lightly called out. Yi Juetian, who was in the room, was startled, while Gong Yu tightly wrinkled her brows. I never expected that the one who came was actually Yi. This damnable woman. I'm going to get married soon. Why does she still have to come and cause trouble? Is she trying to cause trouble? Gong Yu looked towards Yi Juetian and saw that Yi Juetian had a joyous look on his face and was about to rush out. Gong Yu held on to the excited Yi Juetian, and Yi Juetian turned around with a puzzled expression. You can't go out right now. If you go out, you will be harming Yi. Gong Yu said gravely. Yi Juetian's excited look was instantly defeated by reality. That's right. End of this chapter. Chapter 1148. I can't go out. If Big Brother hears about this and I meet with Yi again, then Big Brother, everything that I have done will be in vain. However, I really want to go out, look at Yi, hug her tightly and tell her how much I miss you, that me and Gong Yu getting married is all for you. As long as you can live, I am willing to do anything. Yay. Yi called out once again. Why is Ye ignoring me? You didn't come, but I came, yet I closed the door and refused to see you. Could it be that Ye really doesn't like me anymore? That can't be. Ye likes me, he said it before. Hearing Yi's call, Yi Juetian's brain transmitted the signal to rush out. Hug the woman I love and tell her all of your feelings. However, Yi Juetian's rationality told him that the consequences of rushing out would be very severe. Right now, the wedding invitations had already been sent out. If anything were to happen, the entire Wushu Empire's face would be thrown away. Not only Big Brother would be humiliated, everyone would be humiliated as well. Juetian, don't be rash, do you want to kill Yi? Gong Yu shouted lightly, stopping the two from meeting. Yi Juetian stopped moving, he was completely defeated by reality. What should I do, what should I do? Yi Juetian mumbled. He discovered that he was so useless, he didn't even dare to push open the door, as if the weight of the door was not something that he could push open at all. Gong Yu bit her lips tightly. You have to quickly let Yi go back. If Yi is discovered, it will be even more dangerous. Yi Juetian felt that what Gong Yu said was right. Only by obediently staying in the woodshed would Yi be able to keep her life. Yay. Yi called out for the third time, her tone becoming more and more miserable each time. Yi. Yi Juetian called out the name in his heart. Yi, who was standing outside the door, was delighted, seemingly wanting to rush up the stairs, push open the door and fiercely hug Ye. I don't care what you did in the past as long as you talk to me, don't ignore me. However, Yi Juetian said gravely, don't move. Yi, who was raising her legs, stopped and looked at the double doors above her head, as well as the human figure. Ye is right there, and the human figure at the side should be Gong Yu, right? Right when Yi was about to speak, Yi Juetian said, Yi, go back, don't come again. Yi, whose face was filled with joy, was stunned. Her entire body trembled and she felt her ears ringing. Ye actually told her to leave? How could this be? Ye, I'm here to see you. It's me, Yi, can you come out? Yi squeezed out a smile and smiled at the figure. This smile was heartbreaking. At the very least, Yi Zizi, who was standing not far away, felt uncomfortable when she saw it. Yi Juetian tightly clenched his fists, while Gong Yu held onto Yi Juetian's hand, preventing him from rushing out. Go back and stay in the woodshed, Yi Juetian said in a low voice. Yi did not understand. Why was she still unwilling to take a look even though she was here? Ye, do you not like me anymore? Yi asked with a desolate tone. At this moment the cold wind was howling, and Yi's silhouette seemed so frail and weak. Yi Zizi gently waved her hand and stopped the cold wind. A struggling expression appeared on Yi Juetian's face. Idiot, how could I not like you? As long as you are alive I will continue to like you. If you are dead, who am I going to like? Yi, I like you. Then why aren't you willing to come out and see me? Yi, go back, you are not safe right now. Yi Juetian said gravely. There are so many spies in the palace, and if Big Brother hears about this, it would be troublesome. Yi did not cry, nor did she make a fuss. She just looked at the two figures in the room and felt heartache. She said that she likes me, yet she isn't willing to see me. Is this really love? This is no longer love, this kind of love has already lost its meaning. If you want me to go back to the woodshed, then I will go back. Yi will still choose to listen to you, even if you don't like Yi anymore. Carrying disappointment, Yi turned around and left. Gong Yu let out a breath. This damned woman, I almost let them meet. Luckily Yi Juetian did not rush out. No. If this Yi doesn't die, I won't be able to have a day of peace. I have to think of a way. Juetian, things will get better in the future. As long as mother's illness is cured, Big Brother won't blame Yi. At that time you can just plead for Yi and Yi will be fine. Gong Yu consoled Yi attentively, acting as a kind-hearted woman. Yi Juetian felt that what Gong Yu said was right. As long as mother's illness is cured, Big Brother's hostility towards Yi should lessen a bit. Gong Yu, thank you. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't know what to do. Yi Juetian thanked sincerely. Gong Yu smiled tenderly. Juetian, is there a need to be so courteous between us? After hearing that, Yi Juetian felt very unnatural. I and Gong Yu have already gotten intimate with each other, and have already done the deed of husband and wife. I can only hope that these days will be over soon. A cold light flashed past Gong Yu's eyes, and she seemed to have an idea. On the other side, Yi Zizi brought Yi back to the woodshed. It's fine, I will listen to Ye's words and properly stay here. Yi forced out a smile, but who knew how much pain she was feeling in her heart. Yi Zizi did not say anything and took out a lollipop. The one you gave me last time, I haven't finished eating it yet. Yi took out the lollipop and showed it to Yi Zizi. Zizi didn't expect that Yi would eat a lollipop like this and became speechless. Thank you for today's matter. If you need any help, just call for me. Yi was very grateful towards Zizi. There are still good people in the palace. I reckon that even Zizi didn't expect that there would be someone who would call her a good person. Zizi laughed lightly. If I can't even solve the problem myself, what's the point of calling for you? I will be leaving first then. Zizi said faintly. Without waiting for Yi to say anything, Zizi disappeared from where she was. After Zizi left, Yi slowly sat on the bed and looked at the flickering oil lamp. No matter what, I will be able to hear Ye's voice. He said that he likes me and that is enough. Right now, Yi was hypnotizing herself. She would rather believe that Yi Juetian likes me than believe in anything else. Yi sat on the bed for a very, very long time and thought for a very long time. Yi. A voice suddenly rang out. Yi looked towards the corner of the room and cried out in surprise, Gong Yu. Yi. Gong Yu walked forward and lightly hugged onto Yi. Yi revealed a moved look on her face as she hugged onto Gong Yu tightly. However, Gong Yu's gaze was not moved. Instead, it was filled with a sinister meaning. Yi, it's fine, it will be fine in the future. Gong Yu consoled Yi lightly. If it was possible, I would make Yi die without a burial ground right now. However, if she killed Yi, Big Brother Emperor would definitely investigate this matter. The gains would not make up for the losses. Yi was the one who couldn't stand being consoled by others the most. At this moment, she couldn't hold it in any longer and her tears fell like rain. End of this chapter. Chapter 1149. Why doesn't Ye even want to see me? Why Gong Yu? Gong Yu said gravely, Originally, I didn't plan to tell you about this matter, but looking at how painful you two are, I can't bear to see you two. What matter? Big Brother Emperor thinks that you are a spy. You intentionally wasted Empress Dowager's medicine. Gong Yu said in a low voice as she tightly held onto Yi's hand, seemingly wanting Yi to not take this matter to heart. However, wasn't this also a kind of hint? It was hinting that Yi Juetian didn't want to see you because of this. No. I'm not a spy, Gong Yu, you have to believe me, I'm not a spy. Yi immediately became flustered. That pleading gaze of hers seemed to have caught onto the last straw. Gong Yu said in a low voice, I believe you, you are such a kind girl, how could you possibly be a spy, but Ye doesn't believe me? Yi asked nervously. This matter is related to Ju Tian's mother, you should understand, because Big Brother Emperor has evidence. Was a bit at a loss as she held onto her head and said in a low voice, I'm not a spy. I really am not a spy. I did waste Empress Dowager's medicine, but I really am not a spy. Don't be like this, you will make my heart ache. Gong Yu lightly hugged onto Yi and revealed a complacent smile on her face. Gong Yu, what should I do? Just what should I do? Gong Yu revealed an expression that seemed like she wanted to say something, but didn't know how to say it. After seeing that, Yi hurriedly asked, Gong Yu, please tell me what should I do, I don't want Ye to misunderstand me, anyone can do it, but I don't want Ye to misunderstand me. As long as Big Brother Emperor believes you, everyone will believe you. I will go and look for Big Brother Emperor then. Even I can't see Big Brother Emperor, if you go and look for him, aren't you just courting death? What should I do then, is there any way to see Big Brother Emperor? Yi asked anxiously. Gong Yu continued, the reason why I don't want to say is because it is very dangerous, you know? It's fine. No matter how dangerous it is, I will go and explain myself, Yi said firmly. She could not let Ye think that she was a spy. Gong Yu sighed softly, in a few days it will be my and Ju Tian's wedding. At that time, Big Brother Emperor and the bosses of the various powers will all be present. This is also your best opportunity. Big Brother Emperor will definitely not kill you on that day, and you will have the opportunity to explain yourself. If Yi was a little smarter, she would know that this was a trap. This was no longer a wedding. Instead, it was slapping Yi Hua's face. And Gong Yu wanted to kill him with a borrowed knife. At this moment, Yi only wanted to explain that she wasn't a spy. She didn't even think that Gong Yu would harm her because such an excuse would make sense. Because only by making a big deal out of this matter would they take it seriously. I will do that for your wedding. Yi hesitated for a moment. Yi seemed to be thinking of others. Gong Yu smiled faintly and said, your innocence is more important than my wedding. Ju Tian and I will be very happy if you clear your innocence. Yi was very touched and hugged onto Gong Yu's body tightly. Gong Yu, you are too good to me, I will definitely remember you. Full. Gong Yu said lightly, and a sinister smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. You are a fool. When the time comes I will see how you die. But I still want you to understand one thing. Because of you, Zhu Tian is in a very dangerous situation. Gong Yu's words were another kind of hint. If you don't die, Zhu Tian will never be safe in his entire life. Didn't understand the meaning behind Gong Yu's words, but she knew that her existence was putting Ye in a difficult position, or in danger, and even more people would be implicated. I am just like a jinx. No matter where I go, I will always be unwelcomed and I will always do the wrong things. If I can, I really want to die. Since I have chosen to explain myself on that day, if I can't explain myself clearly, then I will have already died. I'm not a spy. Gong Yu, do you have that medicine? Asked in a low voice. Gong Yu was happy. I didn't expect that would be stupid to such an extent. However, this is good as well, at least I am able to act according to my plan. What did you say? Gong Yu feigned ignorance and asked. It's the kind of medicine that will kill you. Was very calm right now. If death is able to prove my innocence, I will not hesitate to do so. At the very least, in Ye's heart I am not a spy, I am that stupid and foolish woman. Gong Yu pretended to be shocked. Are you crazy? I don't have that kind of medicine. Gong Yu. Called out lightly, and soon after she knelt in front of Gong Yu. This caused Gong Yu to feel very satisfied. Even a lowly servant like you dares to snatch a man from me, Gong Yu? I will make sure that you don't even know how you died. What are you doing? Hurry up and get up. Gong Yu hurriedly went to help her up, but refused to get up. Gong Yu, I beg you, I know you have it, just give it to me. Of course, Gong Yu wouldn't give it to him directly. At the very least, she had to put on an act and say a few polite words. This won't do. If other people were to find out that I gave you the medicine, Gong Yu, I swear that I won't say a word about what we've said tonight, even if I die. Gong Yu said seriously. It's not that I don't believe you, but if something happens to you, what will happen to Zhu Tian? Gong Yu, if something really happens to me, help me take good care of Zhu Tian. I don't want to be a despicable person in Zhu Tian's heart, I beg of you. After speaking, actually started kowtowing. However, Gong Yu did not stop immediately. She enjoyed kowtow very much. It was too comfortable. No. I'll give it to you, okay? After having enough fun, Gong Yu put on a look of reluctance. However, squeezed out a smile and said, Thank you, Gong Yu. Gong Yu took out a sparkling and translucent pill and said in a deep voice, This pill can make you feel no pain. However, Gong Yu was thinking in her mind. This is the soul-severing pill. After eating it, I will disappear into thin air, and even my soul will disappear into thin air. I will completely disappear from this world, and I won't even have an afterlife. Gently took the pill and placed it in her palm, feeling the coldness of the pill. Gong Yu, thank you very much, you have helped me too much. Gong Yu patted onto shoulder. I will always help you, and when the time comes, I will make arrangements for you. All right. Nodded her head and tightly held onto the pill. It is already very late, I will be leaving first. If not, if I were to be discovered by someone, it would be hard for me to absolve myself from the blame. Gong Yu, remember my words, take good care of Ye. Fool, nothing will happen to you. Gong Yu said with a slight smile, then disappeared from the room. End of this chapter. Chapter 1150. Sat on the bed. She didn't expect that her big brother, the emperor, thought that she was a spy. Ye also knew. No wonder Ye had been ignoring him during this period of time. Just now she also closed the door and refused to see him. So it was because of this. If it wasn't for Gong Yu, he wouldn't have known. Gong Yu was really his benefactor. If he could explain it clearly, he would definitely repay Gong Yu well. He was simply courting death by doing this. On the day of the wedding, the people who came were all influential figures in the north. Yi Hua also attached great importance to this matter, and was prepared to show off for a while. Yet, you suddenly came out to cause trouble. Wouldn't that be slapping Yi Hua's face in front of everyone? With Yi Hua's temper, it was impossible for him to live. Gong Yu took advantage of this and sent Yi to her death. Therefore, on that day, regardless of whether Yi explained clearly or not, she was dead. That was destined. However, Yi was still foolishly obedient. She didn't tell anyone about this, not even Chen Yuqing. Chen Yuqing was here to tell him not to do anything rash. However, Chen Yuqing underestimated Yi's determination. Because I am being wrongly accused, Yi is unable to bear being wrongly accused like this, especially when even Ye doesn't believe me. Therefore he had to explain it clearly. Time passed quickly. The entire voidless empire was decorated with lanterns and colored banners. It was bustling with noise and excitement as if it was the new year. Red lanterns were hung all over the streets, which was also a symbol of blessing. However, inside the palace there was a sea of joy. Everyone's faces were filled with joy. All the subordinates were discussing what to wear tomorrow, especially the groomsmen's group. Absolute Heaven was very honored to be one of the groomsmen. If Wei Chang was here he would definitely go and be the groomsman as well. Lai Gu also wanted to be the groomsman, but right now Lai Gu was so huge and he was hiding in a valley beside Voidless Empire. Not being able to come back home, Lai Gu's 4 wives would sometimes go back home to take a few glances at Lai Gu, and Lai Gu would only be able to look at Lai Gu and not be able to touch Lai Gu. This kind of feeling, to a dragon this is torture. That's why, that Qing Su is so ruthless. Other than Zhu Tian, Yi Hong and Luo Ho had also joined in. LV Lu was too ashamed to go. She didn't even reconnect her broken arm. She seemed to be using this method to remind herself. Since it was a joyous occasion, Yi Hua decided that the theme of tomorrow's celebration would be red. As for the style, it was up to you. But remember, don't embarrass yourself. Tomorrow will be the most important day for the entire Voidless Empire. The entire North will fall under my power. At this moment, Yi Hua was finally seated in the bedroom. He was mainly here to supervise the dressing of these women. Hundreds of custom-made red festive dresses could be seen hanging on both sides of the wall. These kinds of dresses did not lose their noble temperament, and they also had the grandeur that an empress should have. However, Yi Hua still had to personally take a look at them, so that Qingya and Donghuang Baiji wouldn't cause any trouble. While the 4 women were changing their clothes behind the barrier, Yi Hua just sat outside and drank tea. His mood became slightly better. I hope that by using Xiao Tian's marriage I will be able to have good luck. Just changing clothes, why are you changing for so long? Yi Hua couldn't help but urge. Could it be that the 2 of you want to change for the entire night? This woman was so troublesome to change her clothes. Qing Yutong shouted out, "Brother-in-law, this headdress is too difficult to wear, it's so complicated." Sigh. Yi Hua let out a light sigh. These clothes, every single one of them even have a matching head accessory, it is indeed a bit difficult to make. After lighting up a stick of cigarette, Yi Hua thought about other things. There is still no news from the White Bones, the progress seems to be very slow. I wonder if any unexpected situations will occur during the wedding ceremony this time. Right now, I am already being targeted. Under normal circumstances, after making such a big move, I will definitely come over and cause trouble. Seems like I have to take some precautions. However, it is also good for me to come over and let these people see Voidless Empire's strength. Just as Yi Hua was pondering, the 4 women walked out from behind the barrier. Yi Hua went into a slight daze. Holy shit. How can my women be so beautiful? If I were to bring them out tomorrow, I would become the envy of others. That would give me too much face. 4 different styles, and each of them had a different charm to them. Beautiful, too beautiful. Other than being beautiful, their temperament and grandeur are also top-notch as expected of my women. This time they finally gave me a bit of face. However, I cannot let them become too arrogant. Therefore, not good-looking change? Yi Hua said faintly. Look at that Qingya and Donghuang Baiji, they are still putting on such a frown. If they are still like this tomorrow, I will spank their butts until they are swollen. The 4 women did not say anything and continued changing clothes. If it wasn't because tomorrow is very important, would you be so smug? After a while, the 4 women changed into another set. Yi Hua felt that the new set was not as good looking as the first set. Continue changing. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji were clearly swallowing their anger. However, they endured their anger and went to change into another set. Then they began. Not good-looking change. Continue changing. Change? God knows how many sets were changed. Qingya couldn't take it anymore and shouted out gravely, Yi Hua, are you messing with me? Yi Hua raised his head slightly and looked at Qingya. What are you talking about? I'm just thinking about tomorrow. You. Even Chen Yuqing and Qing Yutong became gloomy. Taking off my clothes, putting on my clothes, and even having to put on my clothes, this is so troublesome. Yi Hua knew that it was about time and said faintly, wear the first set tomorrow. The 4 wives, this is simply bullying. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji immediately hammered at Yi Hua. while Yi Hua disappeared from where he was, not giving the two of them a chance. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji stomped their feet in anger. Count yourself lucky. Otherwise I would have hammered you to death for playing with people. Yi Hua chose a red robe with golden threads inlaid on it. When wearing this robe it looks very lively. Gold represents imperial power, red represents blessing. Not bad, not bad. Zishan, come over for a moment. Yi Hua called out lightly. Since Wei Chang wasn't around, there were a lot of things that needed to be managed by other subordinates. Because Wei Chang went missing, Tang Wei was very depressed, and she basically didn't dare to step out of the door. Zishan's working ability was very strong, thus the task of receiving the foreign guests was given to Zishan. Subordinate. Greetings to your honor. Zishan's figure quickly appeared behind Yi Hua and said respectfully. Is everyone here? Yi Hua asked faintly. Zishan said in a low voice, Your honor, all of the powers in northern Liang are here. All of Alo River's powers are here as well. Half of Alo River's ancient land's powers are here, but if you have anything to say, just say it. Yi Hua said faintly. But, other than northern Liang, Alo River's powers and ancient land's powers have different opinions towards Wushu Empire. Zishan said rather vaguely. In actuality, other people just felt that it was nothing much. End of this chapter. Chapter 1151. Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. Previously we only met with Yuanyang Palace. Seems like there are still some people who don't believe in this and only half of them actually came. Also, this Aluo seems like I will have to teach them a lesson tomorrow. Yes, Your Honor. Everything has been arranged properly, we will definitely be able to intimidate those people. Zishan was very excited in her heart. Tomorrow will be the day that I will be able to witness Wushu Empire's strength. What I want is not to intimidate but to make them fear. Yi Hua said gravely. Zishan lowered her head and shouted out, Yes. Your Honor, if there is nothing else, subordinate will be leaving now. Zishan said in a low voice. Yi Hua flicked away the cigarette ash and said lightly, Wait. Your Honor, is there anything else? I heard that you and that fellow Yi Hong had a conflict again? Yi Hua slowly turned around and asked curiously. Zishan lowered her head, bit her lips lightly and didn't say anything. Yi Hua raised his head and looked at Wushu Empire's night sky. The countless stars in the night sky were incredibly beautiful, and Yi Hua said slowly, Zishan, back then I acted as the go-between for you. I have the heart to repay you. LV Liang and Yi Hong traveled a long distance to bring Ali back to my side. I owe them this favor. LV Liang is the big brother and his temper is a bit strong. Yi Hong is an honest person, and marrying you to an honest person like Yi Hong should be a perfect thing. However, after so many years have passed, I realized that Yi Hong is too honest. I realized that, otherwise, Yi Hong is too honest. Even though he has obtained power, he is still the same as before. Zishan, you are a deity and you have your own strength as well. However, no matter what, Yi Hong is still a man and a husband and wife must respect each other. Yi Hua sighed lightly. While I, the Supreme Overlord, am lecturing others in a serious manner, I am actually the same as well. Zishan didn't say anything after hearing what Yi Hua said. I was the one who hosted your wedding back then, and it was my first time hosting a wedding like that. It was pretty good, but I don't feel like it anymore. A melon that is forcefully picked won't be sweet. If the two of you can't live on anymore, you can just leave, I won't stop you. Yi Hua said lightly. This time he wasn't pretending, he was serious. If they were afraid that I would blame them, then it's fine now. I have already spoken, and the two of you can leave and live the life that you want. Zishan's body trembled. Divorce? This was something that Zishan had never thought of before. Although she often scolded Yi Hong, she had never thought of divorcing him. Where else could she find such a man who allowed her to beat and scold him? In the end, he even coaxed her and said that the next one would be even more gentle? That was a lie. It didn't exist. Your Honor, the arrangement that you made back then is the luckiest thing that happened to me, Zishan. I will definitely not divorce this marriage. Zishan's eyes were filled with determination. After hearing that, Yi Hua nodded his head. It isn't good for me to get too involved in your family's matters. You can do as you see fit. Thank you for your understanding, Your Honor. Let's go back and rest. It's been a long day. There are still many things to do tomorrow. Yes. Seeing that Zishan had left, Yi Hua also planned to return to his room and rest. Tomorrow is a good day and it can be seen from the numerous stars in the sky. Zishan, who was walking on the main road of the imperial palace, tightly wrinkled her brows. While thinking about what his honor said to her, Zishan unknowingly arrived at his honor's bedroom. Zishan stood outside the house and thought for a long time. In the end, she pushed open the door and entered the house. It is already so late. Zishan thought to herself that Yi Hong should have already fallen asleep. Zishan took a look at the small room at the side. Recently, the husband and wife had been sleeping in separate rooms. Zishan slept on the big bed and Yi Hong slept in the small room. The Cold War between the husband and wife was still going on. Zishan pouted her mouth and stood outside the small room. Soon after, she lightly pushed open the door and entered the small room. Yi Hong didn't sleep either. Yi Hong had been waiting for Zishan to come back. If Zishan doesn't come back, I will be worried. However, today, Zishan actually came into my room. What is going on? Yi Hong didn't understand. Could it be that Zishan is going to scold me again? We have already quarreled and she still wants to scold me? If that's the case, I really can't take it anymore. However, Yi Hong didn't hear the sound of quarreling. Instead, she heard a slight sound. This seems to be the sound of Zishan taking off her clothes, right? What is Zishan trying to do? Is she trying to force herself on me? For the sake of giving birth to a child? Could it be that she doesn't want to consider my feelings? Seems like this isn't the first or second time that she has forced herself on me. Not long after, Yi Hong felt a warm and delicate body squeezing into the blanket and tightly hugging onto her. At this moment, Yi Hong went into a daze. This feeling is so subtle, it is just like how I felt when I was dating Zishan just now. The two of them didn't speak and there was an ambiguous atmosphere in the air. Of course, there was also the sound of the two's heartbeat. Not knowing how long had passed, Zishan said lightly, "Husband, I'm sorry, I was wrong." Yi Hong felt that his ears were ringing. Zishan actually took the initiative to apologize? What is going on? This awesome wife of mine actually apologized to me? I feel like I am dreaming. Husband, can you forgive me? In the future, I won't force you to give birth to a child anymore. Let nature take its course. Zishan had also just thought it through. If Zishan continued to force Yi Hong, she might really end up divorcing him. Really? Yi Hong was very happy in his heart. Zishan has finally thought it through. Zishan answered while tightly snuggling into Yi Hong's embrace. These few years, I have been forcing Zishan too much, and I have not given Yi Hong any face at all. Husband, in the future, I won't scold you anymore, I will properly love you. Yi Hong was so moved that she was about to cry. Zishan is finally sensible. It really wasn't easy for Zishan to say such words just now. Just what kind of stimulation did Zishan suffer just now? Sometimes, a husband and wife should express their love to each other. This would make the other party happy. Otherwise, if it was always one-sided, there would be problems in the long run. Love must be said. Yes. Hubby, will you still dote on me like before? Zishan said with a coquettish tone. This kind of Zishan caused Yi Hong to sigh in admiration. This kind of Zishan is simply like a ferocious tiger turning into a little kitten. Yi Hong hugged Zishan tightly. Yes, it will never change. Hubby, you're the best. Comfortable. Yi Hong felt so comfortable. Hubby? Yeah, what's wrong? We haven't done that in a long time. Ah! Yi Hong exclaimed. She had just said that she wouldn't force herself. In the past, my goal was to have children, but from today onwards that's no longer the case. This is my love. Yi Hong expressed that she didn't understand what Yi Hong was saying. Are you bullying me because I have not gone to school before? You are talking about such a big logic. However, if his wife had a request, would the husband refuse? Furthermore, today even Zishan had lowered her head to him. Yi Juetian was very happy. Yi Juetian was very unhappy, and he felt very hesitant. I'm definitely letting Yi down, letting her suffer alone in the woodshed. As a man, I'm truly too much of a failure. Meanwhile, Gongyu, who was sleeping in the small room, was sleeping very soundly, because tomorrow will be the end of his troubles. End of this chapter. Chapter 1152. Inside the woodshed. Yi sat on the bed and looked at the clothes on the table. These clothes were sent over by Gongyu. When the time comes, I will be able to mix into the group of palace maids and serve food and wine. When that time comes, it will be my chance. I will not bear this crime. Even if I die, I will clear my name. Yi slowly laid down, took out a small mirror and lightly stroked it. Right now, Ye won't use this to talk to me anymore. In his heart, does he just not trust me? Soon after, I took out that unfinished lollipop, took a look at it and put it back. Tomorrow, yeah, I am not a spy. Early morning. In the snowy northern Liang land, only Wushu Empire's sky was filled with warm sunlight. On this day the sunlight was bright and beautiful, and all of the residents had a festive atmosphere. Most of the people even wore red clothes and celebrated this moment together. This was the grandest banquet that Wushu Empire had ever held since the founding of the empire. Most of the powers in the north had even gathered here, allowing everyone to see the weight of Wushu Empire. After all, people would only come if they gave them face. This Wushu Empire is truly extraordinary. 3 absolute palaces, Shiryu said softly. That's right, a few months ago we were still standing outside the city and almost died. The one who spoke was Broken Moon Valley's Xiang Liren. He was also one of the 3 survivors, and even now he was still trembling with fear. Fan Jin stood at the side and sighed in his heart. If I wasn't smart that day, I probably wouldn't even be standing here. It is my honor to be invited here. Fan Jin said softly. Today will be one of the most unforgettable days of my life. The most unforgettable day would definitely be that day. It shocked me to the point that I was dispirited for a few days and had nightmares. The scene of me trembling while standing outside the city was still fresh in my memory. Supreme Fan Jin. A voice rang out behind Fan Jin. Fan Jin turned around and called out softly, so it's Violent Wind Sect's Jiu Ming, long time no see. Violent Wind Sect was naturally a power from the ancient land, and they came here to join in the fun. This Jiu Ming had the appearance of a young man and seemed a bit flamboyant, which could be seen from his luxurious clothes. It was as if he was living in the countryside, making everyone worship him. But this Jiu Ming didn't have that kind of feeling. He didn't have that kind of feeling of being high and mighty. This Wushu Empire's people don't reveal any shock or fear when they look at me, as if they were looking at an ordinary person. He was too bold. Jiu Yang looked at Xiang Liren and Shiryu, who were at the side. He did not care about them at all. Small sects like these could be dealt with a wave of his hand. On the other hand, he could not afford to offend Fan Jin. Fan Jin was only afraid of Wushu Empire. As for this 9 sons, he wasn't afraid at all. After all, he was someone who had half a foot in the honorable realm. Supreme Fan Jin, I feel that this voidless empire is exaggerating. Jiu Yang said calmly. It wouldn't be too much to address Fan Jin as a supreme. Fan Jin snorted coldly in his heart. He had the same feeling when he came here before. He had thought that this Wushu Empire was just a tiger on the outside. But who would have thought that their inner heart was even more terrifying than an evil dragon? In response to 9 sons' mockery, Fan Jin said indifferently, "Oh, you will know when the time comes." Shiryu and Xiang Liren didn't say anything. If they had spoken nicely, they might have warned him, but since he was acting like a boss, they would have made him suffer. At that time you will know how precious life is. Supreme Fan Jin, 9 Sons sect leader. Right at this moment, another man walked over with a gentle smile on his face, appearing very approachable. This was the Twin Dragons Academy's headmaster, Baido. Sect leader Baido. Fan Jin called out softly. Shiryu and Xiang Liren also called out. Baido, how do you feel about this place? Jiu Yang laughed softly with a mocking tone. Baido swept his gaze across the surroundings and said with a smile, "This voidless empire is the most prosperous one I have ever seen. It is comparable to the Bright Mist Communal Country in the south. The Bright Mist Communal Country belongs to the deity institution. What does this voidless empire have?" Jiu Yang snorted softly. Actually, his heart was filled with jealousy. This voidless empire was indeed prosperous and orderly. Compared to his own territory, his territory was like a bandit's nest. Baido didn't argue. Although it is a little prosperous, the guards and whatnot here are still lacking. Hearing Baido's words, the 3 of them laughed in their hearts. To actually say that this place lacks battle prowess. Back then the 2 of you weren't there. If you were, you would know what battle prowess is. You would be so scared that you would pee your pants. Baido continued to speak. In this voidless empire, a mere prince is getting married, yet he actually called out so many people. It's truly a huge effort. If it wasn't for the fact that I had nothing better to do, I wouldn't have bothered to come over. Jiu Yang snorted coldly. Fan Jin originally wanted to remind them, but he decided not to. If the 2 of you want to court death, no one would blame you. I heard that Yuanyang Manor attacked Voidless Empire. Where did all these people go? This is truly strange. Jiu Yang asked curiously. Baido opened his folding fan and said indifferently, "Who knows? Could it be that they were annihilated by this Voidless Empire?" Back then there were only 3 people left alive. Li Gu had originally wanted these 3 people to spread the news. In the end, these 3 people didn't even dare to mention it. They were so scared that they peed their pants. Maybe they went to another place to mingle around, who knows. Jiu Yang spread out his hands. It was good for them to change locations, lest they meet on the battlefield in the future. At this moment, Fan Jin said indifferently, "It is about time we can enter the palace now." With Fan Jin as the leader, everyone nodded their heads. Other than these people, there were also some people from other empires who came, just that they didn't participate in their conversation. The wedding ceremony was naturally held outside of the palace, in the open. The wedding ceremony was similar to that day in the god's realm, just that the venue and atmosphere were a bit more majestic, and there were all black armored warriors guarding the wedding ceremony. A red carpet extended from the palace entrance all the way to the main hall, and on both sides of the red carpet, there were warriors dressed in red armor. At the palace entrance, Zishan and Yuhua were both counting the number of people, making sure that no one sneaked into the palace. The main thing was to check if there was anyone who came to cause trouble, because His Honor had specially instructed them to not let down their guard. The women from Voidless Empire are quite good-looking. Jiuyang looked at Zishan and Yuhua and said softly. However, no matter how softly Jiuyang spoke, Zishan and Yuhua were still able to hear what he said. Immediately they looked towards Jiuyang. Originally, Jiuyang wanted to continue teasing Jiuyang, but subconsciously he was telling himself that it was better for him to remain quiet. Fan Jin, Shiryu, and Xiang Liren had seen Yuhua before, and she was standing on top of the city gate tower. This woman. I can't afford to offend her. Yihua hurriedly lowered his head and walked into the palace. Baido, who was at the side, saw Fan Jin lowering his head. Could it be that he dropped something? I hurriedly lowered my head and looked at it. Baido lowering his head had saved my life. End of chapter. Chapter 1153. The guests entered the hall one after another, and the first thing they saw were 2 rows of red-armored warriors. The flags of the Voidless Empire were raised in their hands, and they were crossed together, not moving at all, giving off a feeling of iron and blood. They sure are putting on a show. If I didn't know better, I would have thought that I had entered some big event, Jiuyang said calmly, a look of disdain in his eyes. However, Fan Jin did not dare to say anything. All he wanted to do today was to witness a grand spectacle. Perhaps it would be helpful to his cultivation base. Baido didn't say anything. Actually, he couldn't be bothered to say anything. He felt that there was no need to. Since he had chosen to come here, there was no need to waste his breath. 9 Suns was here to seek excitement. On the long red carpet, there were 2 seats for the guests. There were names and numbers on them. You just had to follow the number on the invitation and take your seat. It was very convenient. Everyone gradually took their seats. At this time, the palace maid slowly walked in with wine. Amongst the palace maids, Yi was also amongst them, and she was currently holding on to a cup of wine. No one discovered Yi's existence, but Yi was determined to die today. Yo, there are so many beauties here. Nine Yang looked at Yi, who was leaning forward slightly, and was about to reach out and touch her. Sensing his intentions, Yi quickly retracted her hand. Hee hee. Jiu Yang laughed dryly, with a peculiar look in his eyes. If he went to those empires, he could have any woman he wanted. Those emperors would respectfully send their women to his room. Even those women had looks of pleading on their faces. To be able to serve me, the 9 Suns, is the good fortune you women have accumulated in your previous lives. Fan Jin was seated at the side and naturally saw Jiu Yang's actions. He could not help but say, "Sect leader Jiu Yang, you have to pay attention to your image. There are quite a lot of people here." Indeed, there were quite a lot of them. If it wasn't the emperor, then it was the boss. There were hundreds of them. Jiu Yang squeezed out a smile and said, "Supreme Fan Jin is right." With that, he fell silent. At this time, a figure slowly walked out of the palace, wearing a festive red robe. This was the Blood Demon, the master of ceremonies today. Although the Blood Demon had lost all of his strength, his aura was still there. Under such a grand occasion, he did not have any stage fright at all. He seemed very at ease. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome everyone who has come to attend His Highness' wedding today. It is a joy to have friends coming from afar. Blood Demon's words were light and powerful, but his last words carried a deep threat. Everyone present was smart and understood this principle. Those who came with good intentions would get good food and good wine. If they came with bad intentions, then don't blame them. What awaited them was only deep despair. This kind of despair would make you wish you were dead. Fan Jin was very knowledgeable and immediately applauded. As soon as Fan Jin clapped, everyone else followed suit. It was a very lively scene. Everyone has come from afar. His Majesty has prepared some small programs for all of you to enjoy. Blood Devil waved his hand and then retreated. The people sitting below were very curious. The Emperor hadn't arrived yet, but the entertainment program had already begun. How strange. However, just as everyone was feeling puzzled, a strange aura came from the sky. Everyone looked up at the sky. A black cloud slowly floated over from afar. When Fan Jin saw the black cloud, his expression froze. This is, Baido's eyes glazed over in disbelief. Black rainbow cloud. Why would this thing appear here? Even Jiuyang was stupefied. Sure, you showed that she was new and asked curiously, "What is this black rainbow cloud?" Xiang Liren, who was at the side, said faintly, "Black rainbow cloud, it is actually not a cloud. It is a type of rare prehistoric ferocious beast that looks like a cloud. According to legends, as long as one is enveloped by the black rainbow cloud, any living being will become a part of it. And the bigger the black rainbow cloud, the stronger it is. Even an overlord would be finished. Then look at the size of this black rainbow cloud." Shiryu was a bit stupefied. This black rainbow cloud is about to cover the entire sky. This is too terrifying. Right now, Jiuyang was already so shocked that he couldn't speak. After all, the black rainbow cloud had only appeared in books and had never appeared before. I didn't expect to actually see it today. However, here came the problem. This black rainbow cloud appeared. What is it for? What is it here for? Could it be that it is here to devour me? Everyone seemed to have thought of this and started to become nervous. However, Blood Demon's voice sounded, "Everyone, don't panic, this is just an entertainment program." Entertainment program? Who the hell would use a black rainbow cloud to liven things up? Aren't they crazy? This is a black rainbow cloud, not some random cat or dog that can kill people with a single word of disagreement. As the black rainbow cloud gradually floated over, everyone felt a sense of pressure. Gradually, the black rainbow cloud stopped and covered the entire sky of Wuxia Empire. The originally sunny weather immediately turned gloomy. This caused the joyous wedding to feel a bit heavy. Even the people in the city were puzzled. Why did the black rainbow cloud cover up the sunlight? This isn't right. Just as everyone was puzzled, a crack could be seen appearing on the black rainbow cloud. Rays of sunlight could be seen passing through the crack and shining onto the entire Wuxia Empire. This was a visual touch. Those rays of sunlight seemed to symbolize hope, and when the sunlight shone onto the ground, everyone felt breathtaking. It was too beautiful, causing people to be unable to shift their eyes away from it. The people in the city were also stupefied by this beautiful scene. Is this what hope is? It's so magnificent. A multicolored rainbow light suddenly appeared and spanned across the entire Wuxia Empire. That beautiful rainbow light seemed to have formed a bridge. Is this another bridge of hope? It's so beautiful. It's too beautiful. It's too breathtaking. Everyone had never seen such a spectacle before, and today their horizons have truly been broadened. That black rainbow cloud up there is not something that just anyone can invite, and right now, it is actually able to perform for you. This will definitely be recorded in the history books. A loud and clear roar rang out from afar. This roar brought along a strong pressure, and this pressure was comparable to that of the black rainbow cloud. Fan Jin suddenly stood up and said blankly, "This is the legendary red-feathered white tiger." What? This is a red-feathered white tiger. Jiuyang cried out in surprise, and his gaze was filled with deep fear. Shiryu asked curiously, "What is a red-feathered white tiger?" Fan Jin said gravely, "If there is something above a dragon, then it would be a red-feathered white tiger." Above a dragon. Shiryu revealed a look of astonishment. There is something above a dragon. However, Shiryu immediately saw it. Shiryu suddenly stood up. This is really a dragon. But that is a tiger's head and a dragon's body, and it even has a pair of pure white wings. When those wings were spread out, they were actually as wide as the black rainbow cloud. Just how huge are those wings? The red-feathered white tiger that was at the front let out a roar, and the entire heaven and earth trembled. End of this chapter. Chapter 1154. When the people of the entire Voidless Empire saw this scene, Their brains were all shocked. This was 2F** King terrifying, wasn't it? I have never seen such a huge creature before. Not only ordinary people, even Fan Jin had only seen it in a book, and it was only a few words about it. Jiao Yang swallowed his saliva, and his scalp went numb. Just what kind of empire is this? Just a black rainbow cloud is already enough to shock everyone. I didn't expect that red-winged white tigers would come again. An even more terrifying existence. And there are 3 of them. My God. Right at this moment, the 3 red-winged white tigers suddenly turned into dots of starlight and attached themselves to the layer of clouds. This made everyone feel as if they were looking at the stars in the night sky. So beautiful, so beautiful. To ordinary people this is beautiful, but to those with strength this is not beautiful. This is completely a type of panic. To actually be able to cause the red-winged white tigers to disintegrate. How is this possible? The powerful and terrifying ancient godly beast actually did this. This is unimaginable. I am definitely dreaming. Jiao Yang muttered. Baidu rubbed his eyes, seemingly unwilling to believe what was happening in front of him. An empire. To actually be able to bring out such a godly beast. This was something that could not possibly exist. Sure, Yu and Xiang Liren finally knew that what they saw that day was just the tip of the iceberg. Perhaps what they saw right now is just the tip of the iceberg. Fan Jin slowly sat down, his breathing a bit hurried. I didn't come here for nothing today. Although I only saw 2 rare beasts, it was a great help to my realm, and my horizons have been broadened by a lot. Yi, who was standing among the palace maids, was also incomparably shocked. Although she did not know what it was, the scene in front of her had already deeply attracted her. I feel that I am very small standing here and I still have to explain myself face to face later on. Will these people listen to my explanation? I can't care so much anymore. Today is a rare opportunity. If I were to miss it, I would have to carry this infamy for my entire life. If I were to end it just like this, that would not be Yihua's style. Quickly look, what is that? Where? Above the rainbow light. Everyone stood up once again and looked at the end of the rainbow light. Some figures appeared, but these figures were not humans and they were walking with 2 legs. As these things approached, everyone was puzzled. There were more than 100 people in the group, but they didn't look like humans. Because their heads grew on their chests and they only had 2 legs but no hands. It was very strange. The newbie Sure Yu asked curiously again, what species is this? I've never seen it before. Xiang Liren shook his head, indicating that he didn't understand either. Baidu asked curiously, Supreme Fan Jin, do you recognize these? Fan Jin considered himself to be knowledgeable, but when he saw these things he was still dumbfounded. Jiao Yang, on the other hand, revealed an extremely terrified expression. His entire body was trembling as if he had seen a ghost. Sect leader Nine Sons, do you recognize these species? Baidu could tell from Nine Sons' expression that he recognized them. Tiny beads of sweat appeared on Jiao Yang's forehead as he said in a fearful tone, I once heard my great master mention a legend. What legend? Fan Jin asked curiously. A very, very long time ago there was a group of strange races. They were invincible and wherever they went, nothing grew. Their heads grew on their chests and they didn't have hands but they had 2 legs. They had a powerful and enviable talent, immortality. Xiang Liren asked curiously, does this immortality refer to life or? They couldn't be killed. Jiao Yang added. Sure, Yu was curious. Since they couldn't be killed, why did this group of people disappear? I don't know. In the past I thought my great master said it was just for fun, but today I realized that it was true. These people were called black giants. Killing a supreme being was like killing an ant. Jiao Yang said blankly, suddenly feeling afraid. He had started to mock this place the moment he arrived at Wuxia Empire. If those mocking words were known by others, wouldn't he be finished? Thinking of this, Jiao Yang broke out in cold sweat. He wasn't even a supreme being, and even if he was, he would be an existence that would tremble in fear just by sitting here. Over 100 black giants walked to the center of the rainbow and stopped, and something that made everyone confused happened. The black giants could be seen leaning backwards slightly, and multicolored things suddenly shot out from their mouths. Bayu-bu-bu, bang bang bang. These multicolored things were just like fireworks and they blossomed beneath the clouds. It was so beautiful that it took one's breath away. These are really artificial fireworks and they look just like bubbles. However, what everyone didn't know was that the things that the black giants spat out actually had very great destructive power. It was just that, for the sake of the show this time, the black giants' weapons were precisely their mouths. As long as they were to shoot at the same time, the defenseless Wuxia Empire would be instantly destroyed. Brilliant fireworks blossomed beneath the black rainbow clouds. All of the girls were stupefied by this scene. If someone were to propose to them right now, they would definitely agree to it. This is too romantic. However, Fanjin and the others finally knew. This was the effect of turning day into night. Let the black rainbow clouds come over and act as the night. Let the red-winged white tiger come over and act as the stars. Then, let the black giants that were terror-stricken come over and use their mouths to shoot fireworks. For these three formidable characters to gather together, just for this, just how much manpower and material resources were needed to accomplish this. These things were all found by Brett. As for how he found out about it, Yihua wouldn't ask about it. Yihua was only looking at the final result of the show. At the very least, up until now he was rather satisfied. Brett was still very meticulous this time. Who was in the group looked at the magnificent fireworks and felt that it was so beautiful, so beautiful. I really want to engrave this moment deep into my mind. Furthermore, it would be great if Yi was by my side. Such a beautiful scenery. If I were to lie in Yi's embrace, how romantic would that be? I hope that I will have this chance in the future, but the prerequisite is that I have to be able to explain everything clearly today. The fireworks lasted for 10 minutes and the black giants slowly left. As for where they went, no one knew and no one dared to go and provoke them. Suddenly, a hollow yet sweet-sounding bell rang out, and it immediately made everyone feel relaxed and happy. Just by hearing the bell, one could tell that it was not an ordinary item. That is. Baido cried out in surprise when he saw the item that was walking over. Fanjin's eyeballs were about to pop out. I am afraid that everyone knows about this thing because it is written in the books. However, this thing is already extinct, and it can even be said that it no longer exists. However, this thing actually appeared today. The new Shiryu didn't ask anymore because she knew about this thing. It is called Heavy Thunder. End of this chapter. You're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.